The bell's already been rung, and they've heard it. But in the dark, among the stars, they know that God is dead.
Yeah. So now let me change from a lyric to spit. Just like we didn't change SNYDER's vision to shit. This man has no clue about DC Comics. And man, what the hell was with Superman's lit? I can't even watch it. It's such a disgrace. I really wish Zeus would punch shots in the face.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Happy Sunday. Welcome to SNYDER Ave. I apologize for the lateness. I just was having some technical difficulties getting everything set up to be able to do this and do the listen party. Because unfortunately with StreamYard, like I can't for some reason get like any audio from my computer itself, like from my media players or anything to like play live over the stream. Like the audio won't come through even if I click the little box. So the only way to successfully do this and listen through the stuff is for me to share my screen with YouTube playing my stuff. And I really wanted to include all the unreleased stuff. Like there's a bunch, like Urban Ivory, the album from back in 2010 especially, was originally supposed to be 17 songs. When I had released it in the hood, like in mixtape fashion, it was 17 songs. But then when I actually pressed it with disc makers and like released it with a barcode on it, and then later on released it digitally recently, like I had to cut songs that had samples, like because like I don't got millions of dollars to be paying people I sampled for samples, basically. You know, and back in the day it wasn't as big of a deal, like, and now it is. Now it's like the sample cops are out full force. So but I figured this was a way a lot of those songs, and then some of them it was just like sound quality stuff, like I didn't like the mix on them, shit like that. And you know, there's other versions of songs that are on the albums and shit like that. And I really wanted to include a lot of them. And also songs that had my old partner in crime, one of my best friends, if this guy Rated R. He's on the Urban Ivory album, actually, on the song Inner City Pride. But there was other songs with him as well. There was a song called Run Along that me and him did together that I really wanted to include in the stream tonight. Because he passed away like a couple months ago, and he was my next in line. Basically, he was my man. Whenever we did shows, he'd always open up and like he'd be my stage man for the whole show and like back me up on my songs and everything. And we had just started to work on his album, and I have one song of his also that's like his solo song, and it's an amazing. So it's the only song we got to really do in the studio and meet a mix and everything. And it's like this one unreleased track I have of his that I'm planning on releasing officially through DistroKid soon. And I'm going to give all the proceeds to his kid's mom and everything once I actually have it out on iTunes and stuff. So I'll keep everybody updated on that. But either way, I wanted to play it tonight. Like it's my beat, my mix and everything, but it's his words. And the song's called Few Things. And as a matter of fact, I might even start out with that instead of my stuff. But it's just an incredible song, him talking about his childhood and shit like that. And like, I mean, because he was one of my friends that like he had a rough road as far as childhood goes, stuff with his parents and shit like that. And that's what the song's all about. And it's a great song, really. Oh, I see a couple people pop up in the chat here. What's going on? Hey, what's up? You just oh yeah, I'll try that out. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yo, what's up, Truth? What's going on, man? Yeah, I'm an hour late to my own stream, guys. Sorry. So if anybody couldn't make it because they had to go to bed or something and got to watch it tomorrow, I totally understand. No problem. But yeah, so let me I'm gonna pop the screen up here, and let me see. This is the, why isn't it? Hold on a second. Okay, so let's see. I'm actually gonna start with a couple of the unreleased ones, then I'll go into the actual album. Actually, let me just talk about this too, leading up to Urban Ivory, because Urban Ivory, even though I only have 2 albums out on my YouTube and my Spotify and all that shit, Urban Ivory was really my 3rd album. Or no, 4th album, actually. And the one that's about to come out, Alternative Earth, is going to be my fifth. Problem is, back in the old days, like I started in like 98, I did my first. Me and my boy used to be a group called Dead Ends, like with a Z. It was like duos were really in back then, and it was kind of thing where like I was more dragging him along, holding his hand with the whole thing. Not holding his hand, I mean, but he wasn't as devoted to it as I was. It wasn't really his dream. It was my dream, and I was trying to drag him along for it. So it only lasted one EP. And then I ended up going solo, becoming Ill Life and everything. But we did that album. And then I did the first Ill Life solo album probably in like 2000, which was called Artistic Suicide. And yeah, I mean, I gave like hundreds of tapes out to the hood and everything, and everybody was rocking my shit back then at the time. I mean, it was a full like 15, 16 track album. But shit, discs got messed up in a flood and stuff, like zip drives and stuff, because everything was on physical media back then, basically. Just recording it all with like analog digital boards and stuff like that. Nothing was through computers yet back then. So it was a lot harder to keep all your stuff saved. We would have like boxes and boxes of floppy disks and zip drives. It sucked. But the point is, none of the masters are left. I still have 5 of the beats, and I've thought about maybe going back in and redoing them. It was a lot different time, a lot different style. With my rap, I've evolved through the years with the music. But yeah, so, and then I kind of had like at the time, me and my one other boy, Jester, were like, his rap name was Kid Millennium, but we were like the main 2 beat makers of the hood. And especially me, like in my neighborhood in Southwest Philly, like at the time, my beats were really hot. Even my boy Jimmy Brinks, who came before me and like was already pretty established, like he had the throne in my neighborhood for a while. So did I after him. But in the beginning, when I first started out, they had a group called Prime Suspects, and they were rocking shows, and like the whole hood loved their shit. And he was the first one that brought me in the studio and shit and got me started out. But even I did beats for him too, even for his shit, and he was already like getting signed, going out to LA, shit like that. I mean, he was on the cover of Source at one time, and he has a song with Game, Game from the West Coast. So that was with G Unit and everything. And but yeah, so basically, like every person that rapped in the hood came through my beats, my studio at one time or another, and then the dude that used to be like my DJ dude at one time, he died, and me and this other dude, Jester, Kid Millennium, I'm talking about, we're both associates of his. And when he died, we met each other and ended up becoming like best friends, and we merged our studios together. And he was from Six Deuce and I was from down 70th Street side. And we kind of like just started to bring in, like, we were kind of like if anybody's watched Wu-Tang American Saga, or if anybody knows the story of Wu-Tang, how RZA brought all 9 of them together, that, you know what I mean? Like they all weren't necessarily friends beforehand and shit. It's kind of what we tried to do. Like we had like 15 different MCs around my neighborhood that were coming through rapping on beats and stuff like that. And probably with like 7 or 8 of them, we started to make like a solid mixtape with both our beats, and it was called Wicked Messengers, and like me and him both rapped on it too. And it was like, it ended up being like a 25 song mixtape of all us MCs. Like we were trying to do our Wu-Tang basically at the time. And then like, half the people got messed up, people died, all this other, it all fell apart basically. Like basically through this music thing, it's been a me, myself, and I kind of thing, through the years. I've gone through different groups and worked with different people, but it always ends up, that all I got to trust in is me, basically, as far as doing this. So that's why I usually make my own beats. I mix and engineer myself, because I don't got to wait on nobody else's schedule. You know what I mean? So every step of the way along the way, I learned, watched what the person ahead of me was doing, learned it, and made the step into what they were doing so that I didn't have to pay them anymore. Basically, like on Urban Ivory, like there's 2 songs on my album, On My Block and I Know, where I actually went and paid a real studio to record there. Like I took the beat, let them dump the beats into their thing, and like I recorded. And this was a studio down here called Big Sky that like they did a couple singles for Britney Spears. They did Semisonic, Closing Time, Black Lab, like a lot of big rock shit at the time had gone through there. It was like $1 million. Like I paid like fucking $300 an hour or something crazy like that. I forget, but I'd ask them to sit in on my mix sessions, you know, like where I wouldn't have to pay for the time, but I would sit there on the days they were going to mix my songs. They'd let me come in and watch. And I got cool with the mixing dude. He was actually buying illegal substances from me at the time behind the owner of the studio's back. So he kind of like broke me down with some shit, burned some programs for me and everything. And I watched what he was doing and learned how to do it so that I could do it myself. You know what I mean? And now when you listen to alternate, you know, the rest of that album, besides those 2 songs and all of the new album, it's all my mixing and my engineering. And in my opinion, you can't really tell the difference between the 2, you know, so, but just, you know, just letting everybody know. But yeah, so then, you know, eventually I got to the point where Artistic Suicide did good for a while. I was doing shows all around my neighborhood and shit. And even beyond my neighborhood, I won this Salem, the cigarettes had like a music contest back in like 99, 2000 called Salem Orby. And I won that. And in my area anyway, regionally, I won it. And it was like Power 99 was there. I was opening up for Rod Digga and the Outsiders, like Red Man's Clique, the Jersey people and all. And it was an awesome show. They played me on the radio. Power 99's like Philly's like hip hop and R&B station and shit. And that night they played my cut from the show, like the recording of the song from the show. And like I got back to the bar in my neighborhood and all my friends were going nuts, like, oh, they fucking put Cosmic Kev played your shit. Yeah, you know what I mean? So that was a good night. That was a really good night in the memory of my career. But then I actually really put Urban Ivory out. And shortly after that, I had my first kid and everything. And then I was pushing Urban Ivory over the next few years, like, and the online things started to happen, like all these websites like iSound and Bandmix, like iTunes and the indie industry hadn't become a thing yet, but like LimeWire and Napster and all that shit was big. And like, you know, people were downloading shit for free a lot. So a lot of these websites came out that like gave you the outlet to do it, like, even though it was free, at least you were isolating your fans. At least you were figuring out like a future fan base to be able to sell CDs to in the long run, you know? And I got really big on this one called iSound that was like, it was kind of like iTunes before, like it was like iTunes and like Spotify mix kind of, and with a little bit of like Facebook in there too, like that kind of thing where like major artists like, you know, like T.I. and Biggie and shit like that would be on there, and record labels would have pages on there, but like indie artists could be on there too, and you could make your own page and everything. So I got really big on there. I had like 120,000 subs. My plays were like above 100,000 by then. And I got featured on the front page of the website, like the actual homepage of the website would feature me in the top 10 artists quite a few times. And like I was close. I was starting to get contacted by labels and shit like that. And then that was basically the point where like I went there. I got a back injury. Doc had put me on oxys. Next thing I know, oxys turned into dope, and I went through like a 3-year spiral, and the whole music thing got fucked out the window basically at the time when I became an addict. And then I got clean and worked my way back up to this point, and over the last 10 years started because I've been clean for like 12, 13 years now. So, I mean, I still smoke weed and drink and shit like that, like a normal person, but I'm talking about like dope, like opiates specifically. Like I'll never touch a fucking, like not so much as a Tylenol 3. Like I won't fucking touch it. Like fuck pharmaceuticals, fuck all that shit. Like that shit ruined my life. But yeah, so and I started producing again and all that shit, and I kind of had Ill Life shelf for a while in between. That's why there's like 10 years in between the last 2 albums. And I was just producing for hire, shit like that, doing like, you know, stupid commercial jobs and shit like that, just to still be doing music and still have my studio running. And that's when I started Rackstack Music, like as a production company and all that. And then, you know, I just kept like, I don't know, like Ill Life's who I am. You know, it's not really a persona. It really is who I am. It's like, it's like I tell a lot of people, like in my neighborhood, like even my family, my brothers, even my dad, sometimes like all my friends I grew up with, like when people see me, I'm Ill Life or I'm Ills. I'm not. Nobody knows me by my real name anymore, and they haven't since 1998. So it's like it is who I am, and I couldn't just like not do it anymore. I figure, I'm pursuing several other avenues of career as far as the music thing goes at the same time, but I just can't stop making music. I can't stop making albums because it's who I am, and it's like I need to be this. I need to rap. So that's where Alternate Earth came from, and why I decided to go back in the studio and do a new album, even though I'm a little older now. So anyway, sorry for all the rambling. I just wanted to kind of set the stage for everything, you know what I mean? So I'm going to get into, what's this first track here? Okay, so here's a good one to start with. This is called Lonely People. And if you have listened to the album that's already on YouTube, Urban Ivory, it is actually an alternate version of the song Suicide Blues, where I basically made 3 fictional stories up about people that commit suicide. But the 3 fictional stories were kind of based on a bunch of people in real life I knew mixed together into characters, kind of, like it was all influenced by real shit that happened, but just, I made characters up and over dramatized stuff and like made it like a song, you know what I mean? Like, because the sample on it, the whole reason it's not the real version on the album anymore is because the sample, it was a beat maker from London made the beat at the time, H2 Productions. And he told me the sample was clear. It's the Beatles song, Eleanor Rigby. And he told me at the time the sample was clear. And we did have it legally for sale at one time. But since him and a couple other producers I'll be talking about down the line in this stream that I worked with back then have disappeared off the face of the earth. And I guess they stopped doing music and closed their websites down and stuff. And I've had no way to get a hold of them. And unfortunately, this song and a couple of other ones, I didn't want to release the versions with their beats without knowing how to get a hold of them and give them their royalties and shit like that. So that's why I switched back to previous versions that had beats that I had did myself and shit like that. But really, in my opinion, this version is better than the version Suicide Blues that's on the album. And you'll see why when you hear it, because the song got done probably in 2008, 2009, and it was way ahead of its time as far as like, I guess because it was a British producer from London, like he kind of gave it that whole drill thing before drill and trap were even a thing. And I kind of rapped at a different pace than normal rap was back then, kind of like it's kind of like a crazy off the box type of thing. So just check it out. I'm gonna put it on.
Sometimes a lot of fucked up shit happens in this world. Happens to me, happens to you, happens to all kinds of people. And sometimes, it's like you just don't know what the fuck to do. Shit just closes in all at once and you just want to snap, cock something back and let the fuck loose, you know what I mean? Sometimes there's no way to turn. Each time there's no way to act. Still life, sometimes you just want to grab a gap. These lonely people sitting out in the streets at night. These lonely people letting drugs overtake their life. These lonely people feeling hopeless and lost inside. These lonely people waiting, contemplating suicide. H2, ill life. These lonely people sitting out on the streets at night. Talk about the lonely people out there, man. These lonely people really contemplating suicide. There was a kid named John, lost his mom, tried to bomb, now he's hooked on rhyme. Trying for life, ill life, robbing things in the late night. Take the flight, John's only way out. Barrel pistol shoved into his mouth. Nobody ever really even know what he about. Nobody ever really even know that he shout. Punching walls, waits for a call, realizing nobody cared at all. Shots on bags, let they ball, veins collapsing, heart rate falls. Finished off Newport, cocked it back, pulled the trigger, skull just cracked. On his back, facing the walls, the wall reflects his life's downfall. These lonely people sitting out on the streets at night. These lonely people letting drugs overtake their life. These lonely people feeling hopeless and lost inside. These lonely people, contemplating suicide. Got Tracy, she had it all. Great life, schooling for regular type. You guys know, girl that you don't even sweat what she know. Problem was she fell in love, fucking around with something stuff. Didn't care about Tracy's life. Convinced the girl that college ain't right, though. That's how it go. 6 months passed, and now she's doing cool with the rest of the hoes. Just fuck life up, got knocked up, and he's locked up for beating her up. Mom throws her out because moms can't afford to have another little kid run around the house. 2 weeks later, Tracy had the shoes, slip on Chris. I seen the shit on the news. Oh, shit is fucked up, man. These lonely people sitting out on the streets at night. These lonely people letting drugs overtake their life. These lonely people feeling hopeless and lost inside. These lonely people waiting, contemplating suicide. Yo, Frank was a good guy. Had a wife, 2 kids, and a nice house in Lehigh. Suit and tie, job downtown. About to get a raise and shit like that. Who knew Frank was a shady cat? Cocaine issue that go way back. He worked more so we could make more money to do more coke at the end of the show. The wife thought he was working overtime. Really, he was just out sniffing lines. 12-year-old found the roll uncut. Fucked up and he sniffed it up. Overdose, what the doctor said. Now Frank's the cause of his own son's death. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Frank took in front of a septic bus. Damn. Frank was fucked up, man. These lonely people sitting out on the streets at night. Sitting out on the streets at night. These lonely people letting drugs overtake their life. Take away life. These lonely people feeling hopeless and lost inside. These lonely people waiting, contemplating suicide. These lonely people sitting out on the streets at night. These lonely people letting drugs overtake their life. These lonely people feeling hopeless and lost inside. These lonely people waiting, contemplating suicide.
Yo, sorry for cutting it short there for a second. Hold on, let me switch this around so that I'm bigger. Hold on a second. Thanks. Okay, yeah, there we go. So you know, I also wanted to say that like you'll hear in the songs like I said, there was 10 years in between these 2 albums, and really even longer than that, because usually when I do an album, it's a few year process as far as like I usually just start out making songs, and then as I get 4 or 5 songs in, I start to see the landscape of the album and what it's going to look like, and that's when I start to put it together into an album and figure out what the album's journey is going to be. You know, like I'm really big on the album experience. Like I'm nuts about how I line the tracks up and all that shit. I mean, even with my videos, I haven't started recording the videos for the new album yet, because I'm trying to, like, I want to get set up with a video, like with a video person that like the whole album. I mean, I'm not going to do a video for every single song in the album, but the ones that do have videos, I want them all to like tie together in themes and be like movies. And I want to do like back in the 80s, a lot of groups would do like VHS tapes that were like movies, and they would take their videos and tie them together with little acting scenes and like make it be like a movie kind of with the music videos as a part of the movie. And I want to do something like that with this new album. So I'm just trying to get everything set up and in place. But and also let me know in the chat, everybody watching, like that if anything's wrong with the sound when the songs are playing, like please let me know so that I can figure out whatever the fuck's wrong. But it should be playing through right with the YouTube shared screen. I hit the audio box and all that shit. But anyway, my point was, like with the 10 years in between, like you'll hear the difference because I'm older now. I'm a lot more evolved in life. Like back when I did Urban Ivory, I was like, I had just moved out of Southwest at like the age of 23 out of Southwest Philly. Like I live in South Philly now. It's a way nicer neighborhood than where I grew up. It's like a little gentrified, a lot of like Center City people, shit like that. Good environment to make music in though. I'm renting a little studio place right now until I can afford a bigger place. but yeah, but like back then I was, you know, a lot of the songs are a lot more aggressive. I was a lot more hood back then and shit. And I was a lot more still in the shit that I was writing about, you know, like still had friends dropping like flies at the time and shit like that. Like, you know, like I was trying to move on and had like start a family with my ex at the time, my ex, she was the first baby's mom, unfortunately. And, you know, but like I still hadn't fully let go of some of the bad shit I was attached to when I was young and stuff like that. Not that I was involved in bad shit, but it was just like I just grew up in the kind of place where, like, you know, at that age, at 23 years old, just going out to the bar and hanging with the people I grew up with and stuff a lot of times was like, you know, I didn't see it that way at the time, but I was putting myself in life-threatening situations and shit. Like, you know, it was a lot of crazy shit, just put it that way. I mean, you'll hear about it all in the songs, but I'm just making the point that, like, from Urban Ivory to Alternate Earth is a lot more personal of an album. It's a lot less about what's going on around me. I mean, there are still a couple of songs about the neighborhood and shit like that, and shit that, you know, unfortunately has gone on and happened with friends of mine and stuff like that since then. But for the most part, the new album's more of like a journey into me. You know what I mean? It's a lot more of a personal album as opposed to like being about the streets. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to make that point. But let me get into the next song in the list. I'm going to do another out of the unreleased ones real quick, and then I'll get into the regular album. So we got okay, Mr. Lawman. Now this next one I'm going to do is called Mr. Lawman, right? And what this song was about. I had a warrant basically. Like I had a case. It was a stupid case for selling weed when I was like 19, 20 years old. Yeah, I was 20, and I got this case out in Jersey. I was living down the shore at the time for a summer and got this case for selling weed down there. And it was ridiculous. All they caught me with was a 20 bag, and I was a stupid kid that couldn't afford a lawyer and sign this dumbass deal. And I was either supposed to take 300 days in jail or 4 years of probation. I took the 4 years probation, but the problem was I wasn't from Jersey. So, well, it actually happened in Camden County, not down the shore. I was staying at my cousin's at the time. That's right, in Runnymede, New Jersey, which was like Camden County. And so anyway, so because I wasn't from Jersey, when I moved back to Philly, Pennsylvania has this thing where when you transfer from out of state probation, you get monitored by state parole for some reason. So all of a sudden, like I had to go to the state parole office at 58th and Market in Philly, where like I was going to parole with like people that had bodies and shit like that. And I had this like stupid selling weed case. And like my parole officer, who like I was supposed to just be on regular like probation for somebody for a pot charge. You know what I mean? And instead I had this hard ass parole officer that was like treating me like I had a body, and really like, I don't know, it was kind of like a failure setup for me. I mean, I was pissing hots and shit like that. And I had to run, but like I ended up getting like, they locked me up, and then I had a lawyer get me out on bail, and then I basically bounced. I basically ran from the warrant for 10 years. And that's when, because my ex was pregnant with my first kid at that time, and I came back from court and was like, we got to go, we got to move right now, like, because I'm not going back, I'm not going to the court date, yada yada yada. Or I actually went to court and I bounced. Like I talked to my public defender in the hallway, and he told me what was going to happen, and I just turned right around and walked out the front door and didn't even go into the court hearing because I knew they were going to cuff me up. And so then I like worked under the table and all, and 10 years, like just lived a good life, you know what I mean? Like until my addiction happened. And then I ended up getting picked up on some stupid shit because of my addiction 10 years later, and the warrants came up, and I ended up having to sit in jail for 2 years. But it was a blessing in disguise because I ended up getting clean and all that shit. So, you know, but that's what this song's about. This song is like right after I bounced from that court date, like fucking 13, 14 years ago or whenever it was. And I was all stressed out about it. And I wrote a song about it called Mr. Lawman, where I'm basically talking to the courts, to the cops, to the warrant officers, like, just leave me be, let me live my life. I'm trying to be a dad and shit, you know what I mean? And you motherfuckers are trying to ruin my life now, basically. It was what the song was all about. And funny fact, back then, you'll hear there's a voice effect on the hook where I do like a distortion, like a cop's talking through a walkie-talkie or something, like Mr. Lawman. And at the time, I used my baby daughter's like Fisher Price tape recorder with the mic, and I held the speaker end up to the microphone, and that's how I got the distortion on the voice, was through the toy. It's pretty cool though. But all right, here, let me start the song. I'm gonna mute my mic while the songs are playing because I don't want YouTube to like compress the song at all because it thinks I'm gonna talk. You know what I mean? All right.
This here is a true story about the changes I went through when I realized I was going to be a father. When I realized another life was going to depend on me. I knew it was time to stop all that shit in the streets. Wilding out, ducking my P.O., fucking around, lazy, smoking all that shit. It was time for a change, you know? It's time to be a man. So I called my P.O. and I broke it down to him. This motherfucker would act all cool, tell me to come up 58, told me to don't you know, hit it, I'm creeping with the cuffs. So I did me. I wasn't trying to be my kid. You know, she was me. Here's how it went down. Yo, I remember like yesterday, Alyssa was about to be born. It was the year 2G, the criminal in me was born. I was torn, cause up until then it was numero uno. And what do you know, all of a sudden there was 2 more to live for. Don't believe what I saw every time I looked at Kelly's belly. Found myself looking at life instead of the celly. Yo, wondering what they tell me. Still had a court date for a violate. Never expected to have a life. Made a lot of dumb mistakes. I had to get, they locked me up 3 days before my daughter's birthday. Thinking that I'd miss it, man, that feeling was the fucking worst. So I went to court, hoping that my P.O. gave a good report. Scared and sure it's not a jail. And being a father through the mail, I had to bail. My lawyer pulled me out in my hallway. Said, you going to the F? I said, Mr. Young, there's no way. It's a new day. I'm trying to live life and be your dad. Turn the good from the bad. Changes past that I had. Yo, Mr. Lawman, please stay the fuck on my back. Cause I ain't selling no crap. Yo, I'm just trying to sell rap. Just looking low, man. Please stop running me down. My finances all paid off. I ain't even living in town. Yo, Mr. Lawman, officer, please don't kick down my door. Cause other than smoking no weed, I ain't drunk no more. Yo, please, Mr. Judge, feel would you try to understand that if you put my ass in jail, my kids ain't got no chance. Now I say I pray to God at least 2 times a day. I pray to God to not let warrant officers take me away. I wanna stay, show my seeds not to take the past. I chose a rose from this hood just to show for what I know. And what I know is this rap, is this flow, is these shows. I just pray that I'll get to the riches on this road. Cause I estimate that it's probably a very simple fact that if I don't cop a deal soon, they gonna come and take me back. Fuck that, I love my baby boy and girl too fucking much. That must be why I skits every time I hear a call. Pull up out front, could it be the cops? It never stop, can't even drive a car. And at the fall, if someone stalls you, it ain't gonna go too far. Ton of sprawl, I kept my cool, but would've loved to knock them out. That I'll be doing 4 years, and hasta mañana, they'll be out. Should I be out? And head up to New York with a Rican fan. Expensive man, 1-bedroom apartments go for like a grand. Kelly man, although we fight, she stood by me through all this shit. Bounce around from crib to crib, never getting to be legit. I had to split from Southwest, couldn't stay on Grandma Street. Cause my man Timmy lived there too, and had the same P.O. as me. And now I see the consequences of what I've done. Was so dumb, cause with this family now it's full house and warm. I was young and never thought I'd have a reason to live. Now all I wanna do is stay around and give them my kids. Yo, Mr. Lawman, please stay the fuck on my back. Cause I ain't selling no crack. Yo, I'm just trying to sell rap. Mr. Lawman, please stop hunting me down. My finances all paid off. I ain't even living in town. Yo, Mr. Lawman, officer, please don't kick down my door. Cause other than smoking no weed, I ain't a crook no more. Yo, please, Mr. Judge, yo, would you try to understand that if you put my ass in jail, my kids ain't got no chance. Yeah. So if you listen, Mr. Judge, and Mr. Lawman, any of you, now you know the deal. I'm just sitting here trying to do me, take care of my family. So why don't y'all just leave me the fuck alone? Mr. Judge, you know, stay the fuck off my back.
Yeah, that fade out goes on forever. That's why I stopped. But yeah, as you can hear, unfortunately, I have no digital master left of that song, and because that's one of the things I was getting at earlier with that website iSound that I was on, that I was real big on. Like I said, I had 120 subs. They were featuring me on the homepage and everything, and then I went through my addiction and kind of fell off keeping in touch with my fans on there and shit. And I had never saved the email list out of it or anything. And what ended up happening was during the 3 years that I was messed up in my addiction, Apple started iTunes and bought the website out because of the I in the name, because it was called iSound. And they shut the whole fucking thing down, didn't tell any of the artists or warn us or send us emails to like get all our shit out of there. And I had like all my masters saved in their cloud basically and shit. And I lost all that, all the masters from back then, a lot of beat masters, and I lost contact with that 120,000 subs fans and was back to square one basically. And like, record labels were trying to get a hold of me through there and everything. Not that I was very cautious with signing. A lot of indies offered me deals and I said no, because like I'd look at them and be like, what can they really do for me that I can't do for myself with a little money and hard work? You know what I mean? And I'm going to end up having to give them 80% of my fucking money on some old school record deal. So I was real picky with, you know, I probably should have just took one and back then and it probably would have got me somewhere, but I don't know. It was a weird time for the music business. Like it was all evolving into what it is now, but it was in the early days of it. And a lot of people were getting fucked over on record deals and shit. And it was a bad time. But as you can hear, there's a lot of clicks and pops in that track, like audio quality wise. And it sucks because there aren't any samples in it. It's one of my favorite beats of mine that I ever did. Like it was very I was very on some Nas shit when I made that beat. Like I was in that kind of mindset when I wrote those lyrics. And it just sucks because I don't want to put it on the officially released album with all that fucked up audio quality, because the only copy I had left was on an old CD and I had to rip it off the CD basically. So that sucks, but you know, it is what it is. So hold on a sec. Let me go through. Maybe I'll just finish going through so that way I don't have to like keep opening and going back to different playlists. Maybe I'll just go through a few more of these. Okay, so here's another one that's not on the album because of a sample. And this has my boy Rated R on it too. R.I.P. I fucking love this dude, man. It sucks that he fucking died. It really does. But you'll hear him on there too. I'm sure from listening to my songs, you'll be able to distinguish which one's him and which one's me on the verses and stuff. But it was a great song. We used to do it live a lot. We had one of the best performances I ever did was Yacht Stock. I was the first. There's this thing in Philly here called Yacht Stock. It's down on the waterfront. And it's usually all like rock bands, like 80s rock tribute bands and 70s and stuff. And I just happened to be like, at the time, one of the years I was dating one of the guys in the lead band's daughter. And I ended up being the first rapper to ever be in the thing. And it was like this big wooden outdoor stage, like festival. And it was one of the best times performing this song live with him with me on stage. It was great. And we always used to do it live because it really hits. Because the sample that I made the beat out of is the Bon Jovi song Runaway. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that song, but it really hits in like a old school Dipset kind of way, you know what I mean, type of beat, like with that 80s guitar part and the drums and everything. But yeah, so let's check it out. And again, R.I.P. to Rated R on here. Like, my fucking brother, man, I love you.
Yeah, y'all know what it is.
History in the making.
Let's do it.
Southwest Philly.
What's good? Oh, we got everybody in the house.
Come on.
You know what it is.
Yeah.
Rated R. Ill Life. Y'all know.
Let's get them, dog.
It's 06, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, calm down, dog. Take your time, think it through. Before you step to me, peep the mirror, look at you. Just a fake thug with your fake slugs. Yo, I'm a snake, cause nobody wants your fake drugs. Talk good, son. Let's talk good, son. Murder and addiction, not your rims in the woods, son. It's fucking Philly where the summers is hot, and you go to sleep at night to the sound of them shots. And every day they gotta dig another bell.
burial plot. Same place you go to church, be the street where you cop, the street where you drop. I might be white, but I know about that. In Southwest, white cats do bust back. You better think twice before you get your jaw spliced. Start singing like 50 and convince yourself you sound nice. You must be crazy, this is ILZ. I'm the killer, motherfucker, ask about it. Come on, son, run along. 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 Ain't nothing. Sure. Bring it all back for another one. Let's get it.
Let's start it off, get it going, keep it moving now. If it pops off, no cops, it's called we moving now. This is the code of the street, we gon' box it out. No man is standing, all the cops lock us down. It ain't nothing, no difference, dog, the block of town. Jump out of line, pop, fly, and I'ma knock you out. I'm on a groove, consistent cruise, no stopping now. Couple cars deep out, 20 heads hopping out. I'm tired of hearing your stories for how your block is found, how your whole block strapped and homies bring the choppers out. How you crew get down, what your whole block's about. Most you dudes goons lost your spot or you copping out. Lots of ways of doing shit, my options never running out. I ain't gonna stop running, not till I hit 100,000. You dudes is crazy for thinking I'm sweet. So if you thinking I'm sweet, make you move to the street, bitch.
Come on, son, run along. 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 Come on, son, run along.
Roll Home Records. Y'all know what it is, man. It's doing it real big. Y'all can't fuck with it.
Yeah.
If you get the fuck out the way, you get knocked the fuck out.
Yo, this that white cat that go hard, blow Dutchess, drain bars, pop pins, steal cars, Philly morning next door. I know they gonna hate me, I know they gon' wanna kill me. Let me tell you, fuck with these white cats, you better check your safety.
If you wanna get it poppin', homie, we gon' do the thing. Fuck what y'all dudes about, y'all got reasons like Hooverstang. I give a fuck who you bring, it ain't new to me. Robberies is 13, cash, drugs, and jewelry.
Road dust and greenery, it don't mean a thing to me. Got it, we want it, we take it, that's just how it's gonna be. You got a problem, we can take it outside. Get your pockets ripped off, probably blasting in your eyes.
So what's it about, dog? We can battle without you. Ain't shit, you a bitch, probably tattle me out. Running to the cabin, oh yeah, tell him what happened. Run along, little homie, unless you want you some action.
Come on, son, run along. 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 Come on, son, run along.
I know what it is, man. Fucking rap. WRBA, motherfucker. Let's get it. You can do it, you can get it. It ain't enough all day.
Yo, honestly, it's crazy even listening to that song. I haven't listened to it in a while, but it was just like I'd like hearing it. I remember us recording it, and like me and him, like, you know, it's remembering a friend that's dead now, and it was a crazy night. He was really my younger brother. I come from 4 brothers. I'm the oldest, and the brother I'm talking about is the youngest of the 4 of us. and Rated R was really his best friend, like since they were little kids. Like they were roadies, like the way me and my boys Street Knowledge that was in Dead Ends with me were. And that's how I got hooked up with him in the first place. But then through music, me and him became like best friends too. But he had an apartment with my homie Sal. Shout out to Sal. He's a barber and shit. He's got a shop around here. And we'd always go over there and party, like me and my little, at the time I had just broken up with my ex and I was crashing in my stepmom's basement, which was like my little brother's studio apartment, basically, like my youngest little brother I'm talking about. And we'd always go over there, smoke out and party and shit. So we were going to do that song. And since I couldn't record at my stepmom's crib at the time, we took the mixing board and the studio and everything over there and hooked it all up in the bedroom at their apartment. And like even all those like woos that you hear in the background is like my little brother would just like run up to the mic and do it while we were recording. And like we just partied our asses off that night, and like there's like chicks there and everything. It was like a crazy studio night, and it's a good memory that I have with him. And you know, hearing the song made me reminisce about it, missing him and shit. It sucks. But yeah, so I guess while we're on the topic of my homie Rated R, I guess I'm gonna play his song too, the one that was his solo track. Few Things, it's called. It's a fucking amazing song. Here it is. Yeah, the thumbnail was even a thing I made for him. But yeah, here it goes. It's called Few Things, and I made the beat and did the recording and engineering and everything. It was supposed to be the first track for his full album, but he died before we had a chance to finish doing the album. So it's with him. It's one of them crazy, ironic things, like, you know, like some of the songs that came out of Tupac that were unreleased after he died. This is one of them things that like he's passed away now, and the song is so real and so emotional and so crazy that like it's just crazy to think that the person you're listening to ain't here no more, you know. So R.I.P. Rated R. I love you, brother. And here's the song. It's called Rated R. Few Things is the name of the song.
Rated R. Some shit I want y'all to hear, man. Just my times, my struggles, shit I've been through, all of that. You know what I mean? Ride with me. Come on, feel it. How can I put it? I don't come from the best. No, life is all shit, it's tough. My life's a jungle of mess. In and out of rooms for rent, a struggle for checks. Tell me what's a man to do with a ton of regrets. I'm stressed, I can't take it, I'm constantly down. I feel up naked, I can't take it, don't be counting me out. I've been dealing with the seesaw for all of my life. I don't need you to believe me, it ain't wrong, but I write. Mom's the problem, she was not a provider, so it was one for himself, cause either was my father. Coming up was a situation, what we gon' do? My insides feel impatient, nothing solid to embrace to. At times I would cry, pray to the Lord. This constant rain slay out my life's the higher the storm, but somehow it makes me stronger. It keeps me in strive, this strive, and this strive is what keeps me alive. Just off the top I can name a few things that's fucked up with a few things, that kept me broke without new things, a few things. Let me tell you about a few things. Just off the top I can name a few things that's fucked up with a few things, that kept me broke without new things, a few things. Let me tell you about a few things. Nothing was a little problem, everything was major about it. Moms was addicted, nothing ever displayed a boundary. Pop's a heavy drinker, his eyes are turning yellow, but for some fucked up reason I don't feel sorrow. Let's take it back to the first times I seen shit. Y'all in and out of the bed from keeping secrets. A little smarter than that, I run on the block, the high flame light attract, glass piece stuffed in your sock. A little cat introduced to this drug, so I was curious and I started using these drugs. Smoking chronic for 10 years, then it was crazy. I was in the midst of this shit with dippers and sandies. Worst came, curse came, this shit bloomed like a flower. Next minute I'm finished, rock bottom in this powder. You live and you learn, you take it like a man. Everything's a concern in this battle, a man to man. Just off the top I can name a few things that's fucked up with a few things, that kept me broke without new things, a few things. Let me tell you about a few things. Just off the top I can name a few things that's fucked up with a few things, that
that kept me broke without new things, a few things. Let me tell you about a few things. Younger families getting older, the block's getting colder. These cats are getting bolder. I threw shits out of older. Young cats with pistols or your walls with missiles. 9 to 5 ain't cutting it, gotta grind these nickels. Mom is using drugs now, children getting the love now. Cats need to put the guns down, you're using thug now. Ladies getting knocked up, daddy's getting locked up. We need to think for the future, we gotta clean our act up. Bush ain't a president, he's running a business. Taking control of oil and faking an image. I won't fight for his war, I got a war of my own. I gotta fight to get the bills paid, it's a war of my own. I'm not saying my life's the hardest, but I'm claiming it's real. Just a few things I'm saying just to tell you how I feel. Cause I been up without a few things more than new things. No water, electric, and no telling what the food brings. Just off the top I can name a few things that's fucked up with a few things that kept me broke without new things, a few things. Let me tell you about a few things. Just off the top I can name a few things that's fucked up with a few things that kept me broke without new things, a few things. Let me tell you about a few things. Yeah, man. Y'all witness some real shit. My life, everything. I put it all on paper for everybody. Ally Entertainment, rated R, Ill Life. It's one of them. Holla at your boy, 05. Let's get it.
Yeah, it's hard for me. It's like that song. It's like I said, it's like it's hard for me to even listen to it now without getting emotional. Because it just, like I said, it's one of those crazy things where like it wasn't planned, but like we just happened to make a real emotional track with a real emotional beat and shit. And it's like now that he's gone, I hear that song, man, and it really fucking pulls at my heartstrings. I'll tell you that. Like it sucks. Especially because he was an incredible rapper. Like, I mean, incredible. Like, I mean, the dude, you know, potentially was going to surpass me. That was the plan. You know, that's the whole reason when I heard him for the first time, I brought him on board with me and everything, because I was like, this is what I've been looking for. Like, and he had the drive like me. Like, he was trying to do it on his own, whereas a lot of other people I worked with over the years just wanted to like show up, drink 40s and rap, and didn't give a fuck about the money that was going into the equipment or any of that, or you know what I mean, what the time that went into the mixing, nothing, you know. They were just like, and it sucked working with people like that. And this dude was like, he had it, you know what I mean? Like he could have been a star, and it's like, it sucks to like fucking, I've seen too many friends fucking fall to drugs, man. And it just fucking sucks. It really does. It fucking blows, man. I can get all into that. There's plenty of that in the albums, believe me. Okay, so I got 2 more unreleased tracks in the list here. I guess I'll just get through before we go into the actual albums. Yeah, right. I did Lonely People, Mr. Lawman. Oh no, 3 more. Okay, so this one, Truth Hurts. This one, the beat don't have no samples, but I have parts from the Matrix movie in it, and I'm gonna put it out as like a mixtape, John, like on my YouTube anyway soon. I'm just doing a remaster of it, but it was more worth it to me to not release it officially, you know, for compensation, to keep the Matrix parts on it, because the Matrix parts just fit the song so perfectly, and I didn't want to compromise that. Another thing that's cool about the song is the piano part on it. When I made the beat, like I was always like, a lot of times when I play my melodies, like I'll try to make it a long loop. Like I'll do 16, 32 bars, just so that there's a lot of variation in the synth parts of the piano parts and the melody. But with this one, I pretty much did I just like with the piano part, I kind of just like, I was really blazed at the time. I'd smoked a couple of blunts, and the whole beat was made except for the piano, basically. Like I knew what the piano rhythm was from playing it over top as I was making the beat. But whatchamacallit, I basically like just let the beat play and sat here and like closed my eyes and just like got all like Beethoven on the piano and played it out for the whole length of the song. and it turned out really fat. Like you won't be able to tell listening to the song. You'll feel like it's a loop or something because I go back to the same root notes a lot. But I just kind of sat there and was like, and just like vibed out on it and shit. So and also another reason this song cut off the album is because, like, you know, I don't know if you've noticed in some of the songs that have played already. I just want to address this, but like, you know, at the time when I was doing this album, it was between the years of 2005 and 2009. Okay. Back then, it wasn't like now where like every other rapper that comes out's a white boy. You know what I mean? Like shit was a lot different back then. The only white boy that was doing it for real was Eminem. And, you know, I was very much in a mindset of like, you know, like I came from the hood and I grew up with all different races, but like, you know, like the kind of white boy I grew up with and the kind of white boy I am, you know, like, which I would take offense to someone else calling me a white boy in the wrong context. I'm just saying that I'm using it to describe myself, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, you know, like we were a different breed. We were like a minority all our own because like we're not like your typical everyday white American, you know what I mean? Like we grew up like minorities or something, basically. You know, I mean, not that all minorities grow up that way either, but I'm just saying, you know, it like I was trying to like, I don't know, like I was being pro-white, you know, but not in a racist way. And like, you know, hip hop's ours too. I grew up with this too, you know, almost like trying to like earn us the respect that we deserve. Like, you know, the people I was coming from and how I grew up. I was trying to show that to the world and be proud of who I was at the same time. And, you know, because all the rappers I loved growing up, like Nas and Mobb Deep and Wu-Tang and all those people were like proud of who they were. And that's how they rapped and stuff. So I was trying to do the same thing coming from my inner city white boy, you know, like that's why the album's called Urban Ivory. Like Ivory's the white stone, urban in the city, you know what I mean? So I just want to get that across, that like when you hear me say stuff like that, like it's not meant to be like attacking any other race, you know. And I think I'm pretty clear about that. And even back then when I did these songs and shows and had them out on the internet and stuff like that, like I always got respect from other rappers of other races for it, you know what I mean? So I don't think anybody would take it the wrong way, but things have changed a lot and the world's a lot more PC now about stuff. And I don't know, lately it seems like the media has all been like very okay and accepting of like anti-whiteness and shit. So, you know, I don't know how it would hit nowadays, but I'm just saying, like, there is some stuff in this song that's like that, where I'm talking about, you know, situations coming from my point of view and stuff, you know what I mean? So just wanted to put that out there. But you know, I love everybody and I'm not racist at all. It's some of the furthest thing from racist, honestly, believe me. But, you know, at the same time, I'm proud of who I am as a person. I'm not trying to be something else. I'm trying to be myself and show the world what I am and where I came from and who I am as a person. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, so this song is called Truth Hurts. And it's basically what the title says. It's like me talking about a bunch of stuff in the world that like we are lied to about and deceived about. Like I even talk about AIDS in it. Like I have a line where I say, there is a cure in a rich man's home, and this disease is based on money's Section 8 regions and zones. A deficit the rich put in, the poor take out, and HIV is a slow way to balance the budget out. Like, so like that's the basic gist of this song is all. And I talk about the war and Bush at the time when I wrote the song that was going on. So you'll see it. And that's why the Matrix shit's in there too.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. What truth? That you are a slave. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison
Hey yo, what the fuck is going on in the world today? Corruption's the main name of the game we play. And every time I speak, it makes me feel so sad to say that every dream I have, it just seems so far away. And dream of a day when all men are judged equal, no more reverse racism, no hate on my people. It's all relative, they say, to the size of your steeple. And my steeple's the streets of Philly, and sometimes they get evil. It seems like this hate all over the place. It's like I try to retrace, but can't place a face or even blame another race on the way this government's invaded our lives, fed us with lies, created a so poor people die. You see, I got a theory of my own. There is a cure in a rich man's home, and this disease is based on money. Section 8 regions in terms of deficit. The rich put in, the poor take out, and HIV's a slow way to balance the budget down. I can't help feeling this way. I'll never change what I say. I speak the truth and it hurts, and I've been putting in work. I might say some things you don't like, it's just the way that I write. Sometimes I tend to give up. The truth is, I just don't get it. So tell me why we send the kids to defend the corrupt man, and why we made the wrong choice when the balance was in our hands. Man, can someone please explain to me how more than half of this country a re-elected man who always louder than why can't they see conspiracy in the number that we die for emergency? I think it's late, I wish you people would wake up and fucking see. And don't hate me, cause I support our soldiers to the fullest. I just don't support evil men making them take bullets. We need to cool it for this turn into another Vietnam. Dutiful man who don't care about the blood on his hands. I'ma take a stand, and y'all is either with or against me. It's your freedom of voice and choice. This ain't a Catholic country, believe me. This freedom we supposed to embrace has lost its place. Yo, I was stirred, I'm sure you relate. You can't debate, cause we just in a mental dictatorship. False TV clips that put us in our president's fingertips. I can't help feeling this way. I'll never change what I say. I speak the truth and it hurts, and I've been putting in work. I might say some things you don't like, it's just the way that I write. Sometimes I tend to give up. The truth is, I just don't give. And I'm sick of marijuana still being illegal, when it keep me peaceful and alcohol is viciously legal. Now let me ask you, have you ever smoked a blunt or a bone? Cracked your dome, had a car wreck or woke up in a stranger's home? No, I wouldn't think so. I think the worst that can happen is that you fall asleep or get inspired and wanna flow. We'll never know how much I'm losing hands in this shit, and how much will they probably lose if we ever went legit. It's making me sick. The government creates this disorder cause they get paid every time a order crosses the border. And this prejudice would make me flip, cause it seemed to me like every race except for whites are loud and proud of heritage. So let me live, cause every rapper I love growing up was proud of who they were, and I respected that no matter what. So now respect this, and I will see my people dismissed. And just because I'm proud, I won't be fucking labeled racist. So I will fake this. I can't help feeling this way. I'll never change what I say. I speak the truth and it hurts, and I've been putting in work. I might say some things you don't like, it's just the way that I write. Sometimes I tend to give up. The truth is, I just don't give a fuck.
I know you're up there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come in and tell you how this is going to end. I came to tell you how it's going to begin.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about with that piano. That was that whole piano that was playing through that. I just like Mozart the shit out of that thing and just played it over the whole track. It was fun. So let me see what we got next here. I think I got one more that actually isn't on the album, and one more that is there's a different version on the album. Okay, yeah, Realist Jet. This one, this was actually when I first started the network, with other MCs. Like, this is when the internet first became a thing, when I did this song. Basically, this is when I was first getting on that website, iSound. And I was blowing up at the time. Like I said, like, I think I was on the homepage, and there was this other rapper at the time from LA called Maniac. Black dude, he was really good. And me and him kept bouncing back and forth between the #1 spot on the homepage. Like, he'd be 1, I'd be 2. And then the next week I'd be 1, he'd be 2. So eventually, I forget who hit up who first, but we reached out to each other and we're like, yo, let's do. Well, I got in a beef with this Atlanta rapper, Chosen, basically, and like murdered him. Like he tried to come at me in the comments, like call me a white boy or some shit like that. And I went off on dude and was like, you don't fucking know me. Like, I will fucking murder you on wax. Like, you want to go track for track? Let's do it right now. Yada, yada, yada. And basically the dude ended up like bitching and apologizing to me once he listened to my shit and like learned more about me shit, basically. But he was beefing with the dude Maniac too. And that's how me and the dude Maniac got cool in the first place. But then, you know, all that was under the bridge eventually. And we did a track together. It's an original beat that I made. It's a fat ass beat. The only reason it's not on the album is because he is another person that I've lost touch with. I don't know if he stopped doing music or what, but I can't find him anywhere to give him his royalties. And I don't want to release anything with anybody else in it that's supposed to get royalties out of it. Like, even if it's just fucking 0.3 cents a play right now, you know, because if it does blow up, I'm not trying to get phone calls from lawyers later on. And not to mention the fact that I'm just an honest dude and I'm not trying to fuck anybody over. You know what I mean? So for now, it's in the vault. You know, maybe it will get added to the album eventually if he finds me or reaches out to me or something. But you know, it is what it is. But I can play it on here. So it's a cool song though. It's like I do my verse slow and then he does his verse fast as shit, like double times me basically. And the mix is a little wacky too, because it was the first time I ever dealt with like a stem being sent to me when I mixed it, and like he didn't do a lot of doubles the same way I did and shit like that. So we sound different. I tried to mix it the best I could, but that's another reason it's not on the album. But anyway, let's check it out.
Okay, I'm reloaded.
Man, I'm feeling this shit right here. I'm back. Yeah. This shit hot.
Feel tight.
We about to blaze this motherfucker, homie. East to west, you know how we do it.
Yo, Maniac, man, we really got to do this to them.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to get a lot of
They ain't even ready for this shit,
Nah,
man.
they ain't ready at all.
Two realists. Intertwined for y'all. Yeah. LA to Philly. The cutest thing. Yeah. Yo, hold up, man. Yo, let me get them first, dog. Hold up. Yeah. You might look at me and see a white kid. Not the shit I seen did on the blocks that I live. Philly. Brown hair, cats in front of your face. And the time of death ain't got nothing to do with your race. Okay, you want test, just remember who's the best. And if you see me in the streets, just remember where you're best. This just deals in the flesh. I'm gonna bring you a check. Work the maniac, you witnessing the realest jet. We go nationwide, east to west, killing rides. LA to Philly, strong, turn the system real high. Feel this in the blocks, feel this in the streets. Feel this on the docks. Feel this when you eat. We starting to creep up and take over this game. Ain't heard the bullshit, you gon' remember the name. But this shit ain't gonna stop until we climb to the top. This is here, the next generation of Biggies and Pac.
Hey yo, out here in Cali, man, we hustle and burn.
Hey yo, cats up in Philly, man, they stay on their grind. From the cradle to the grave, don't be spitting these rhymes. East to west, these rhymes don't be killing these minds.
Hey yo, out here in Cali, we be holding our own.
Hey yo, cats up in Philly, man, they stay on their toes. These streets, I'm gonna tough the fucking take what we want. Stay on the hunt, MC, step to the front.
Late nights on the block trying to get my cash. Never seen you do it, bitch, you wanna get my ass. Caught up in the wrong place at the wrong time. Motherfuckers wanna set me up, check was mine. Hating on the young niggas cause I stay on the grind. Man, fucking with the wrong nigga with that bullshit. Keep my finger on the trigger, nigga, and I pull quick. Your whole motherfucking body color, I don't get backstabbing motherfuckers. I can just like a bitch. Trying to get their hands on my shit to make them rich. But that ain't gonna happen. Look, my flip up to Mr. Gun Clap, man. Start blasting like a madman. Hell, get a revenge. Didn't wanna have to do it, but I kill again. Can't believe I got caught in the predicament. Motherfuckers wanna see me for my Benjamin. I'm about the money in the business. nigga peacefully. Won't stop till a motherfucker blocking dreams. See my enemies, they trying to get my friends. Turn my block to a motherfucking murder scene. But that ain't gonna happen cause I quit the bus. So dope niggas think I'm blowing angel dust. Just ran out of luck trying to fuck with us. Hit the stage, go banana, start acting up. You ain't ready for the uncut, real hardcore. Fuck this motherfucker, bluff the door. Step by to the booth for my vocal cords. Think a bitch suck my dick till a dog gets sore. My whole crew got stabbed, never around the Lord. Suffocated bitch nigga till we breathe no more. I'm just let body laying on the motherfucking floor. And that's the sir. Hey yo, out here in Cali, man, we hustle and run.
Hey yo, cats up in Philly, man, they stay on their grind. From the cradle to the grave, gon' be spitting these lines. East to west, these rhymes gon' be killing these minds.
Hey yo, out here in Cali, we be holding our own.
Hey yo, cats up in Philly, man, they stay on their toes. These streets, them bodies, up the fucking teeth we run. Stay on the hunt, MC step to the front.
Yeah, so that was, it was a fun track, you know what I mean? It wasn't, you know, nothing serious it was just one of them things that we collab, you know what I mean? And just both wrote a hype verse or whatever, you know, like that's another, really, it's a lot of reason why, like, a lot of people ask me to collab a lot. And like, I love collabing with people, but like, I've learned over the years not to force collabs. Like I'll do when I do a collab with someone, I'll listen to their catalog. Like Vega, for instance, Vega that streams, that's in the Snyder Cut community too, that also raps. Like me and him been wanting to do a collab together, and I'm just waiting for it to come to me. You know what I mean? It's like I've listened to all his shit, and I know his style, and I know my style, and it's like I just gotta wait until some original idea that goes with both those styles has an inception in my head to reach out to him and be like, okay, I got this beat, let's do this, you know, like, because when you force collabs, it's like it just turns into like a brag fest, and it's just cheesy to me, I feel like. So I'm very selective about collabs nowadays because of that, you know what I mean? Not that that turned out bad or anything. At the time, it was very worth it for me to do it because, like I said, me and him were like the top two artists in the thing. So at the time, to like those 100,000 fans, and I think he had like 100,000 fans too on there, like it made sense for us to collab and share our fan bases basically. And like it was a big deal on this website at the time and shit, you know what I mean? So, so hold on, let me go back into the playlist here. I think judging by how long this is taking, I think at the end of Urban Ivory, we might cut this off and maybe do like a part 2 for Alternative Earth on like Tuesday or Wednesday night or something, because I do have to go to work tomorrow, and judging by how long it's taken to get through the songs and stuff, I think maybe we might have to do one album a night, you know what I mean? Okay, let me see here. So boom. Okay, so this is the last one I'm doing now, the unreleased tracks, and this is a song that you'll be hearing pretty close to back because this song's also on the album in a different version. On the album, it's like my West Coast track. It was a beat. The guy that made it, I am still in touch with the guy that made that beat. His name's Nathan Diaz. Very good producer, very professional producer, does a lot of commercial work and stuff. And he got linked up with me through that real studio I was going to back then, Big Sky Audio, and the guy Drew Risen, the guy that ran that studio, his name's Drew Risen. He's pretty big in the music industry. Like I said, they did Britney Spears, Semisonic, Black Lab, all kinds of rock bands. I think they did some stuff for Aerosmith and stuff. So he's known. He used to own the Philadelphia recording studios and stuff like that. That's why I went to him. When I decided I'm going to go to a real studio and learn what they do, I didn't want to fuck around. Like I just saved the money and put the money out to go to the best one I could find, basically. So, but this version of the song, the one that's on the album, actually came first. And then I redid it because the guy that made this beat, again, I've lost complete touch with him, and that's why it's not on the album, even as a bonus track or anything. But his name was Cap the Genius. And at the time, he had done a couple beats for Dipset and stuff. I forget which ones, but I think it's possible he may have blown up after this and gotten big, and I just lost touch with him or whatever. But either way, I can't get a hold of him anymore. And, you know, same thing I said with the other songs. I'm not gonna, I usually make my own beats, but at the time I was very, like I said, the internet thing was just starting out, and collabs were really helping me with expanding my fan base. So, I started to reach out to some select producers that to me had it, were like the real deal, and like I said, this guy had made a couple for Dipset. I really liked everything on his page and everything at the time. And it was a good collab, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's called El Del King. Like I said, you might have heard it on the album already, like the West Coast type beat and everything. But this is the version with the beat from Cap the Genius.
Hey, yo, Cap, man, I don't think they ready for this one, dog. It's the motherfucking Philly King right here. Yeah, Cap the Genius. Yeah. Hey, yo, I heard some bitch cats was gonna step to my flow, so I'ma be nice ahead of time and let y'all know I ain't the one to be fucking with. Although I welcome challenge with open arms, I listen to that weak spit and rip shit. So you freestyle, okay, whatever. I'm sure it's gonna make your album do much better. But oh, that's right, you ain't thinking that yet. Cause you too busy in my hood trying to out-rap vets. But yo, go ahead. If it makes you feel bigger, spend 2 minutes trying to sound like Jiggy. You see, I kick realness from the streets where I roam. Cause Southwest Philadelphia where I always be home. What you don't believe, don't let the skin deceive. I spit hollow tips, kid, and make your family breathe. And while you standing at the pearly gates, I have stands set up outside your radio base. Yeah, selling my tapes. You wanna rock, we can rock. Fight, we can fight. Smoke, we can smoke. Any given night, you want thug. Shoot, we can shoot. Rob, we can rob. Straight taking on your new run, we can run. Break, we can break. Lie, we can lie. Cats acting like snakes. You want rhyme, we can rhyme. Bling, we can bling. This ain't a threat. Yeah, fucking with the ill. Yeah, hey yo, the place is here. The time is now. I'm on the prowl with one mic and twin tech 12s pulled out. Cock back, ready to react and attack. Murder any catch track from white to black. Cause the best defense is simply good offense. You wanna step the IL? Come on, kids. Nonsense. Blowing sets up like the Boondock Saints. After I murder you, I'll write use a bitch and spray paint. I feel pain sometimes from this talent I got. God's gift, one love I have never forgot. Rhyme rotten, but the core, yo, it's definitely hot. Keep me your cock locked, the rock it don't stop. Make you wanna pump the shit up and down the streets. Have cats up on the corner like you heard that beat. Who's that motherfucker pumping in the Jeep? Is it Pitbull, Paul? Nah, it's ILC. You gonna rock, fight, we can fight. Smoke. Any given night, thug. Shoot, we can shoot. Rob, we can rob. Straight taking on your loop. Run, we can run. Break, we can break. Lie, we can lie. Cats acting like snakes. You gotta rhyme, we can rhyme. Bling, we can bling. This ain't a threat. Yeah, fucking with the ill tell kid. Yeah, you really think I'm interested? Hanging on every word. Watching, trying to think of how to jump in third. Bass is what you must have been smoking to even think I was joking while I was huffing and toking. You was still sitting there choking, left you broken like your pop-up jazz. Put you in zero state so bad you ran to the mass. Started praying to God, asking him to save you. And though you hadn't been true, I still forgave you. Who you? A couple leftover beats, cause all the hood knows that my leftovers be pounding these streets. But you comes weak, you gotta work on that, kid. And by the way, stop doing shit I already did. Get your own style, stop trying to copy my profile. Don't be acting like you really down with the X-Files. Cause you and I both know you don't know and ain't intelligent enough to understand how I flow. You wanna rock, we can rock. Fight, we can fight. Smoke. Any given night, I'm gonna thug. Shoot, we can shoot. Rob, we can rob. Straight taking all your loot. Run, we can run. Break, we can break. Lie, we can lie. Cats acting like snakes. You won't rhyme, we can rhyme. Bling, we can bling. This ain't a threat. Keep fucking with the ill Del King. This ain't a threat. Keep fucking with the ill Del King. This ain't a threat. Keep fucking with the ill Del King. Captain Genius, Secret Service. Fucking killed him on this one, Cap. They ain't even ready, man. Southwest Philadelphia. Southwest. LYPH. That spells Philly, motherfuckers.
You know, it's crazy because another thing I meant to talk about before I played that song, but you know, I'll get into it with the when we play it on the album too, is that like I have a lot of songs on the old album. There's a few that are basic like battle tracks kind of. It's like me spitting at potential opponents type of thing. You know what I mean? And a lot of those songs do have real life targets behind them that like, you know, people that I beefed with, other rappers in my hood, stuff like that, that like we're cool now, so I'm not gonna call them out by name, but like I'm talking like shit that like physical fights happen in the streets, stuff like that, that like call, you know, that caused the beef behind the songs and shit like that. Where it's like I didn't call people out by name, but like the hood would hear the songs and know type of thing, you know. So yeah, and also it also just made me remember that there is an unreleased version also of the song "My World" that's on my album that I totally forgot to put in this playlist. That if we come back for a part 2 to do Alternate Earth on Tuesday night or something, I will include it in that stream because it's amazing. I totally forgot about it, but it's another one that got axed because of samples because the beat is made out of Black Sabbath War Pigs, like the like I used that sample and chopped it up and played like the but it's hype. It's like real metal and hype as shit. So I gotta make sure if we're gonna do a part 2 to the stream in a couple days, then I'll make sure to have it on that one too. So okay, so now I'm gonna jump into the actual album, and you'll see the difference because as you can see, this cover is a little different than the one that's actually the album. The one that's actually the album is a little more professionally done. I mean, the pictures were professionally done anyway by a photographer, which was actually my sister at the time, who is actually a photographer, did the pictures. Like they were like red room, big, you know, shots that she gave me like a big envelope back with like she actually like printed them herself out of the film reel and everything. It was before digital. It was really big, you know what I mean? But yeah, the actual album doesn't have these like bars at the top and bottom, and the lettering is a little more professional, and it's like see-through over top of the picture. Like the picture is the whole background, like there is no bars on it. So you'll be able to see the difference between the unreleased ones and the actual album. Let me go back to the actual playlist here. Let's see. How is it? Oh, it's in this list right here. Hold on. Sorry. Okay, yeah. See, so Urban Ivory and Alternate Earth. Alternate Earth's the new album. So that's like I said, we're going to go through Urban Ivory, and then by then I think it's probably going to be too late to keep going with Alternate Earth. So we'll do a part 2 of the listen party on Tuesday or Wednesday night. Like I said, we'll figure it out. Maybe even tomorrow night. I'll let you guys know by the afternoon tomorrow on Twitter. So go into this. It's going to start playing. I got to pause it. Hold on. Okay, so what song are we on here? Let me expand this a little bit. Sorry, guys. A sec, I just got to check the list here. Okay. All right, I guess I'm going to have to keep the screen like that just so I can see which song I'm playing for you guys. Okay. So on my block, the album, see, as you can see, El Del King, see, it's the second song. That's the song I just played the alternate version of. But yeah, On My Block is good. On My Block was basically, it was the first song I wrote for this album. And like I said, this is the song that I went into the real studio to record. The beat was a collaboration between me and the guy Nathan Diaz. Basically, I went to the guy Nathan Diaz's studio to make the beat for me, but when I got there to work on it, I already had the song written. I already had the beat imagined in my head, and basically I just got on his system and I knew how I wanted the drums, so I created the drums. Then I created like the guitar, like the metal guitar you hear underneath in the background, and the bass line. And then he basically did like the highs that you hear, like the high synth, and he does like the there's like a West Coast type of sound that does a solo at the end with the bender wheel. Like you hear him soloing on the keyboard, like it. So same thing on L. King. He does the same thing. He does like this high pitched like solo part. It's like a whistle type of sound. You'll see. But yeah, so it was a collaboration between us both. Like, but the drums and shit were me and stuff. But the song was basically like, as far as my neighborhood goes, it was one of the biggest songs I've ever had. Like, I do shows and it would be like requested, like people would yell it out, you know, like, cause like for a while it kind of was like an anthem for, you know, for a friend, like my friends and stuff. Like it was, a lot of people liked it. It's a really, it was kind of like my trademark song for a while, you know what I mean? And it's probably one that, even though it's on the old album, once I start making videos and finally shooting music videos, I'd probably go back and make a video for it. Like, cause that's how influential it was, influential of a song it was in the journey of my career, you know? And it's basically just like all about my hood and my street and everything, you know, it's about my street, basically. Like this type of shit be happening on my block, and it's about stuff going on my block and shit at the time. So, and growing up and everything. So yeah, so let's get into it. Push play.
This shit be happening on my block. This type of shit be happening on my block where parents get hooked up on the rock and kids grow up not knowing how to stop all the rage in their hearts or the violence on their block. On my block, cats be waking up like 10 in the manana, smoking marijuana, talking about the drama that happened the day before. Fiznor was at the door of my man's crib, telling him to get on the floor, and I wonder, did the bull steal a car, bounce, record, or shoot somebody up at the bar? Because drama like that be happening on my block where cats get drunk and smoke a whole lot. Smoke crack, smoke dust, and smoke loads of pop. Cause I grew up with all different kinds of urban pops and urban kids. But in my hood it's live and let live. And you get used to having problems cause that is how it is. But I'm giving a gift that cats up on my block support me. Because cats up on the block already know this course. It's on my block where they was always backing this kid. Even cats that ain't rap came over to kick ad-libs. This type of shit be happening on my block where parents get hooked up on the rock and kids grow up not knowing how to stop all the rage in their hearts, all the violence on their block. Yo, this type of shit be happening on my block. All the drugs that were copped, all the bodies that have dropped. Yo, this type of shit be happening on my block. All the cats locked down, just victims of on my block. You know, the same place where I rode big wheels, played freedom, grew up and learned to steal. The very place where I stood up for the very first time, face to face, had my first fight and caught my first case. On my block where I dropped 2 underground joints that had this whole hood rocking. Know when I was on point. It's on my block. You know, sometimes it can be a sunny day, couple of sessions in a cypher, then I'm up on my way to hit the bar with the same cats from the block all day. The same cats trying to get me to go halves on yay. The same cats that got me whack and gave me stories to rap, because stories to rap come from the block as a fact. And some of my friends was black and yo, a lot of them was white. But in my hood, everybody's fucking pockets was tight, and every man was for theyself, trying to get the next buck. And regardless of your color, you can still get snuck. Young bulls only like 12 take pills on my block, and over the past 10 years the value started to drop. And the block sidewalk is all trash and glass for little kids to get caught on when they play and bust their ass. On my block, sometimes I miss my street, cause my block is what inspired me to rip this beat. And my street is what made me stand on my own 2 feet. Grab this mic, make a future and avoid defeat. Because this type of shit be happening on my block where parents get hooked up on the rock and kids grow up not knowing how to stop all the rage in their hearts, all the violence on their block. Yo, this type of shit be happening on my block. All the drugs that were copped, all the bodies that have dropped. Yo, this type of shit be happening on my block. All the cats locked down, just victims of my block. 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 All over these streets. New York, Pittsburgh, out the West Coast.
Gave New York a shout there.
Shit be happening. Shit be going on.
And Jersey, said J. Rue. I'm going to let this ride into the next song. It's the other version of L. King. So you guys can let me know in the comments which one you like better.
Hey yo, I heard some bitch cats was gonna step to my flow, so I'ma be nice ahead of time and let y'all know I ain't the one to be fucking with. Though I welcome challenge with open arms, I listen to that weak spit and rip shit. So you freestyle, okay, whatever. I'm sure it's gonna make your album do much better, but oh, that's right, you ain't thinking that yet, cause you too busy in my hood trying to out-rap vets. But yo, go ahead, if it makes you feel bigger, spend 2 minutes trying to sound like Jigga. You see, I kick realness from the streets where I roam. The Southwest Field Bells where I always be home. But you don't believe, don't let the skin deceive. I spit hollow tips here to make your family grieve. And while you standing at the pearly gates, I have stands set up outside your way with bass heads selling my tapes. You on rock, we can rock, fight, we can fight, smoke, we can smoke, any given night. One thug, we can thug, shoot, we can shoot, rob, we can rob, straight taking all your loot. You want run, we can run, break, we can break, lie, we can lie, cats is acting like snakes. You want rhyme, we can rhyme, bling, we can bling. This ain't a threat, kid, you fucking with the ill Del King. Hey yo, the place is here, the time is now. I'm on the prowl with one mic and twin tech, 12s pulled out, cock back, ready to react and attack. Murder any catch track from white to black, cause the best defense is simply good offense. You wanna step to IL? Come on, kid, it's nonsense. Blowing sets up like the Boondock scenes. After I murder you, I write, use a bitch and spray paint. I feel facing times from the talent I got. God's gift, one love I have never forgot. Rhyme rotten, but the core, yo, it's definitely hot. Keep me your cock locked, that rocket don't stop. Make you wanna pump the shit up and down your street. Have cats up on the corner like, heard that beat? Who's that motherfucker pumping in the Jeep? Is it Bubba? M. Nas, ILZ, the best MC, most definitely. Cause I ain't a hick or a crazy motherfucker popping 8 your mushrooms. My shit boomed through the room. It all came from guns, tunes, and a full moon. Over these city streets on the late night heat. You want step? Come on, young buck, the flow ain't sweet. Thought I told y'all motherfuckers. You want step? Come on, young buck, the flow ain't sweet. You want rock? We can rock, fight, we can fight, smoke, we can smoke, any given night. You want thug? We can thug, shoot, we can shoot, rob, we can rob, straight taking all your loot. You want run, we can run, break, we can break, lie, we can lie, cats is acting like snakes. You want rhyme, we can rhyme, bling, we can bling. This ain't a threat, kid, you fucking with the ill Del King. Now you really think I'm interested, hanging on every word, watching, trying to think of how to jump in third. Bass is what you must have been smoking, and even think I was joking while I was huffing and token. You were still sitting there choking, left you broken like your pop-up jazz. Put you in zero state so bad you ran to the mask. Started praying to God, asking him to save you. And though you haven't been true, I still forgave you. Threw you a couple leftover beats, cause all the hood knows my leftovers be pounding these streets. But shit comes weak, you gotta work on that, kid. And by the way, stop doing shit I already did. Get your own style, stop trying to copy my profile. Don't be acting like you really down with the X-Files, cause you and I both know you don't know and ain't intelligent enough to understand how I flow. You want rock, we can rock, fight, we can fight, smoke, we can smoke, any given night. You want thug, we can thug, shoot, we can shoot, rob, we can rob, straight taking all your loot. You want run, we can run, break, we can break, lie, we can lie, cats is acting like snakes. You want rhyme, we can rhyme, bling, we can bling. This ain't a threat, kid, you fucking with the ill Del King. This ain't a threat, kid, you fucking with the ill Del King. What I told you, motherfuckers. Ill Del King. It's all fucking games for somebody gets hurt, this motherfucker. Word up. Southwest Philadelphia. Record life. Ill Del King, recognize.
Yeah, as you can see, that dude Nathan Diaz is nasty with that bender wheel, like how he solos those high parts at the end, like that West Coast squeal thing, you know what I mean? Like he fucking tears that shit up. Same with the whistle on My Block, man. I love how he would do that. He would just sit there with his eyes closed and like zone out on it and be like, like with the bender wheel and shit, you know, or the mod wheel. You know, I don't know if you guys are familiar, like on synths, there's a wheel that like you can bend the sound, like, you know, like almost like pulling a guitar string when you're doing a guitar solo, you know. And he was like really nasty with that thing. I loved how he did that. And I don't know if you noticed too, like I said, the other version that I played earlier was actually done a couple years after this version. This was the original version. And there's the second verse. There's actually, it goes a little longer on this one. And I say the part where I'm like, who's that motherfucker pumping in the Jeep? And I say like two artists, like, is it this person? Is it this person? Nah, it's ILZ. Talking about myself, you know. And on this one, I say, is it Bubba M? Nah, it's ILZ. Talking about Bubba Sparks and Eminem at the time. And I even kind of dissed them where I say, like, because I ain't a hick or a crazy motherfucker popping E, you know, because at the time I think like Eminem was still in the early days, you know, where they go after the first album and shit. And I wasn't really a fan back then. I started to really like them after Marshall Mathers and Eminem Show. And now to this day, they're the only two albums I really like. I really don't like everything from Encore on either, but it's just my own personal opinion. I don't know. I just always I just wasn't really feeling everything he was about and stuff. I don't know. And his voice annoys me too, but it's just my own personal opinion. Eminem Show, one of the greatest albums ever made. Marshall Mathers, one of the greatest albums ever made. I give him props on them too, big time. Like, he was real as shit back then, but I just don't like the newer stuff. But anyway, and then when I did the other version a couple of years later, like at the time, like you got to understand, early 2000s were a time in hip hop where like you were hot, but then the next thing that was hot replaced you immediately. You know what I mean? And like they were actually, I mean, Bubba just went down permanently, kind of. He never really came back after that, you know, after that initial, his little bit of fame with Timbo and everything. But Eminem was kind of in a quiet period too. That like Eminem Show, I think, was about to come out, but it hadn't yet at the time. And when I redid it on that one, I say, is it Pitbull Paul? Talking about Pitbull and Paul Wall, because at the time Pitbull had he just dropped his first couple songs, and he wasn't this like radio pop thing yet. He was kind of trying to be a rapper back then, you know. And I know he's like part Cuban or whatever too, but I thought he had white in him too at the time, and I was the whole thing was about comparing myself to other white MCs at the time, you know. So it's just funny listening back to the two versions, like the different shit that I say, you know what I mean. So the next song in the list is the song called I Know, which was kind of like, it's kind of poppy. It's kind of like the guy Nathan Diaz made this beat too. And it was very like, you know, back then it was like you could make a street album, but you had to have a couple club joints. You had to have a couple of joints that the girls could dance to at the club. You know what I mean? And this was kind of supposed to be that for me on the album, but I still wrote like a real ass song to it about like me trying to make it as a rapper coming up and everything. And that's why it's like, I know the pain sometimes could drive you insane, and I know the hurt trying to make it while you and I know the work of trying to make it while you're dealing with hurt. Like, that's how the hook goes. Like, they don't believe in you, so believe in your fucking self, basically, like is the whole point of it. Like about people that weren't supporting me at the time and shit like that. Like, it was like the Naysayers, like the song Naysayers on my new album. It was like that of the old album, but had a very clubbish, danceable type of beat because this guy, Nathan Diaz, produced it for me. Except for those three songs, On My Block, we produced together, and he produced Il Del King and I Know. But other than that, the rest of the album's my beats. But yeah, so let's get into it. Check it out. Let me skip to the next song here.
Cause I know, and I know the hurt. Sometimes you gotta say fuck it. Cause I know the pain. Sometimes it drive you insane, and I know the work. You're trying to make it while you're dealing with hurt. Sometimes you gotta say fuck it, save your mental health. Cause they don't believe in you, so believe in yourself. Hey yo, shut the fuck up, I'm sick of hearing this shit. I'm really ready to flip over this shit that gets kicked. And said about me, you doubt me, but you know you can't stop me. I already fought my way through Philly like I was robbed. So plot me, go ahead and say my name on your shit. And I bet you my next album, listen, you gon' be a hit. You know a street anthem, make you feel like Manson and Hanson. You don't know whether to shoot or start dancing. I'm writing this for cats that really know what I'm about. For that 15-year-old kid trying to reach out, trying to find a way out, using a pen in his mouth, who loved writing rhymes, although he hated his house. Always waiting for dear old dad to open his mouth, cause though he loves him, he's getting used to hearing them shout. So now he's gonna reroute before he really flips out. Get up on his own 2 feet and walk the fuck out. Cause I know the pain sometimes can drive you insane, and I know the work. You're trying to make it while you're dealing with hurt. Sometimes you gotta say fuck it and save your mental health, cause they don't believe in you, so believe in yourself. Cause I know the pain. Sometimes the drive you insane, and I know the work. You're trying to make it while you dealing with hurt. Sometimes you gotta say fuck it and save your mental health. Cause they don't believe in you, so believe in your fucking self. Being slept on, I keep on telling these cats that I'ma bring in bills off of the way that I rap, and it's a fact. And these motherfuckers wanna laugh and doubt that I won't tear a fucking hole in their ass. I will blast, blow up, throw up, and show up at every rap competition they could possibly make up and break up what the population thought was going on, and show the world that this cat's singing a new song. And I'm going back to the lab to work some shit out, break some shit out, and make sure this platinum get out. I'm making it out with your help or without. You doubt, but you gon' be the one that's left missing out. Cause the place is here, and believe me, the time is now. And I'm born to show this motherfucking world what I'm about. So if you don't feel my shit, well then, fuck you. I'm making damn sure I tell my fucking audience the truth. Cause I know the pain sometimes can drive you insane, and I know the work. You're trying to make it while you're dealing with hurt. Sometimes you gotta say fuck it and save your mental health. Cause they don't believe in you, so believe in yourself. Cause I know the pain sometimes can drive you insane, and I know the work. You're trying to make it while you're dealing with hurt. Sometimes you gotta say fuck it and save your mental health. Cause they don't believe in you, so believe in your fucking self. Can't even afford Newports, had to copy some jeans. I'm putting on like I left, and then taking this rap game in my name in the rain. It's in vain, it's insane how I could just be riding the train and come with shit from the brain. Yo, you know, shit be happening all the time. I just find a way to take the shit and make it all rhyme. It's just like if I was some poet sitting up in the mountains, talking about trees and clouds and spring water fountains. I'm from the gutter, Southwest Philly to be exact, and I'm writing about the same thing, but my surroundings are black, dark, deep, depressing, cruel, and criminal. The message is subliminal, and it may seem minimal to believe that this cat's gonna shine. I'm gonna shine. 1 in a million, but I'm serving 999. Now it's my time, and I'ma make y'all see this ill life that be constantly torturing me. Cause I know the pain sometimes can drive you insane, and I know the work. You're trying to make it while you're dealing with hurt. Sometimes you gotta say fuck it and save your mental health. Cause they don't believe in you, so believe in yourself. Cause I know the pain sometimes can drive you insane, and I know the work. You're trying to make it while you're dealing with hurt. Sometimes you gotta say fuck it and save your mental health. Cause they don't believe in you, so believe in your fucking self. That's right. So believe in your fucking self. Straight up. Cause I know you do anything you want. Just gotta put your mind to it and not fucking quit that shit. No matter what anybody fucking tells you. Before you can just sit there and be a blue collar worker for the rest of your fucking life. But me, I'ma grip my dream. I'ma take it by the balls, I'ma throw it back in all these motherfuckers' faces. Straight up. Cause I know. And I know the work. And I know the pain. Cause they don't believe in you, so believe in yourself.
Yeah, so that's like I said, I was was trying to be like the dance John on the album, you know what I mean? So I listed the songs real quick while I was playing, so we wouldn't have to keep jumping down the list and shit. So the next song, funny story with the next song. There's 2 songs on this album that this is the case. At the time, like I said, I went to a real studio in the beginning and was taking, other than the songs, I paid the guy Nathan Diaz to work with him. Like I didn't have my own beat set up yet at the time. Computer wise, like I hadn't learned how to use the programs I use yet. Like all that was just starting to happen. Reason had just came out, the program that I actually use. And I actually went to like a like a used instrument store, and I bought this like used $300 like digital workstation synthesizer, like this Yamaha from the 80s that took floppy disks and everything. And I made a bunch of beats on it that ended up becoming some of the songs, and 2 of the songs still made it onto the album. Now, after this, I learned the program and started making all the beats in the computer and started doing all the recording in the computer. But these songs got recorded on the computer, but the beats I actually had to take the $300 keyboard to the studio on 1 track at a time, dump each track into their system on the old school version of Pro Tools back then, so that they could mix it quality enough coming out of this old 80s keyboard to make it sound how it should with my vocals and everything. You know what I mean? So this is also the song that the newer version of it has the Ozzy Osbourne, the War Pigs beat, Black Sabbath War Pigs, that I forgot to upload into this playlist tonight. So we'll listen to it on part 2 of the stream on Tuesday or whatever. But yeah, so the song's called My World. And again, it was one of these aggressive like me, you know, I had done a lot of battle shows at the time, and you know, I frequently, like, not in my neighborhood. In my neighborhood, everybody loved me, everybody was backing me. Like I was a ghetto celeb at the time as far as doing shows around my neighborhood and stuff. But when I would do contest shows and shit in Center City, stuff like that, like, you know, a lot of times I was judged off the rip because of being white, until I got on stage and fucking rocked the shit out of everybody. And then they realized, like, okay, this dude ain't nothing to fuck with. You know what I mean? It was basically how it would go down. Even when the contest I was talking about earlier, where I opened up for Rod Digga and they played me on Power 99 that night and everything, like that night, that's a crazy story, because that night, this is kind of how I originally stopped fucking with the beat makers in the studio of my boy Jimmy Brinks back in the day, because they were supposed to show up to be my stage guys at the time. They were the ones I was recording in their studio and everything. And basically this club where I was doing the show at, it was called Brave New World at the time, but it ended up, it was the biggest hip hop club in Philly, basically. Like our main hip hop station, Power 99, would be there every weekend. And it went on to become Pinnacle and then Onyx. Like if the big Philly rappers come, and even to this day, it's still a club. I don't know if it's called Onyx now or what the name of it is now, but it's like if a Philly rapper, I mean, not a Philly rapper, if a big rapper's coming here to perform a club show, that's where they're going to be, you know. And that's why it was a big deal that I got in this contest and got picked off my demo to be in this contest in the first place. And that night, I mean, that club, it was packed. Top tier was packed. It was probably like 600-700 people. I don't know. It was a big club. And basically the only, you know, there wasn't many white people there. It was like me, and probably like 10, like I probably had like 20 friends come, and like probably like 15 of them were white, or maybe, or probably like 13 of them were white, and 8 of them might have been black or something. Like a few of my friends were black, some were white, but they were the only white boys there. And the rest of the club was like 700 people. It was like black club, basically, you know what I mean? And when I got on stage, the whole place got silent, basically. You know, like I said, this was back in the days where Eminem was the only white boy really doing it, you know, and I was trying to become big. I was trying to really get my shit out there and, like, you know, become another Eminem or something at the time, you know. And so when I got up there, I was like, I wanted to break the ice because it was just dead silent. Everybody staring at me. And I was like, oh shit, the white boys got the mic, like that, I said, and started laughing and got the crowd to like laugh a little and loosen up. And then right before I went on stage, like the dudes never showed up. The guys that were recording me that were supposed to be my stage men, they knew how big the club was, and they knew it was like this real hip hop club. And they basically thought I was going to bomb because they had never been in my shows or anything yet. And like, they didn't get that, like, I was comfortable, like I was good on stage, you know what I mean? So my roommate at the time, my boy, Joey McCarthy, he's still a musician now. He does like acoustic emo type of shit. Like it's Rusty Pigeon's the name of his group, if you want to look him up. It's mostly him doing acoustic shit. But he's really good. He's really good. But he was a singer in a hardcore band at the time, like a hardcore punk band. And we both did music, but like I had a hip hop studio and he had, like, you know, he did his rock, his metal thing, you know what I mean? And right before I went on stage, he was like, dude, I was all stressing because I didn't have stage people to back up my lyrics or anything. And he was like, dude, he was like, I actually memorized your lyrics just in case something like this happened. Like out of nowhere, he comes up to me and tells me that. And I'm like, fucking bet, dude. Like, that's what's up. So he got on stage with me and did the performance. And I fucking, I actually have the beat to the song. Maybe I'll let you guys hear it Tuesday night, but it was called Before. And it was on my old album, Artistic Suicide, that I don't have any copies of now. It was the first like Ill Life solo album. And I made the beat out of the Terminator music. Like I learned how to play the music from the Terminator movies, like the like that whole thing. And I made a hip hop beat out of it that was dope as shit. And I rocked the shit out the show. Like I said, they recorded my performance, and Cosmic Kev, the Philly DJ here, he played me on Power 99 later that night. And all my friends, I got back to the bar in the neighborhood, and all my friends were like, yo, they fucking played you on Power 99. I was like, shit, everybody's going crazy. It was dope. It was a dope night. But I'll never forget, like, when my performance ended, when the music stopped, like, everybody was quiet again, and all of a sudden, like, somebody in the back just yelled, like, yo, that white boy ain't no fucking joke. Like, and the whole place went nuts. Like, just like started cheering for me. And then the Power 99 chick that was hosting the contest like came out and was like because the hook on my song was like, before drugs took over the streets, before MCs had the battle over beats, before, like every first line was before. And she came out and was like, before I announced the next artist, like, you know what I mean? Like quoted my lyrics and shit. So it was hype. It was really crazy. It was fucking hype, man. But yeah, I don't know what the point was of me getting into that story in the first place. But oh yeah, so the song My World. This song very much came from a place in my heart of like, you know, like that kind of thing. Like I like people prejudging me and like what I was bringing to the table. And like, you know, you're going to see, like, I'm going to show the world that this is my shit. Like I'm about to take this shit over type of thing. You know, that's why the song's called My World. And again, the beat, like I said, the beat was made on a $300 keyboard and beefed up in the real studio and shit. So let's get into it.
Feeling this? Yeah. This song is going out to all them perpetrating motherfuckers out there rapping on their little corners thinking they gonna have something on me. But let me just let you know, you don't. So I'ma just let off a little warning shot real quick. So you motherfuckers take heed. Sit there and listen while I kill this motherfucker. Yo, motherfuckers call me this and motherfuckers call me that. So I'm white. Who gives a fuck? Let's see who can rap. You faggot motherfuckers ain't gonna want no work. It's like I'm blazing conbuds while y'all cats roll dirt. You get hurt. Stepping up in my domain, it's like a house of pain, but ain't no jumping around in my game. The mic's already slain. I'm just gonna bury it alive where I reside and rap till I know that it died. I'm gonna touch the sky. You feeling froggish than leak? I'll swallow heat, knowing that your spit game's weak. I lift you 6 feet. Wait for you to spit a cooney rhyme, then drop you 12. Overflow in just one line. It's wartime. And it's every man for theyself. And my alias be the only cat that's giving me hell. But oh well, fuck it. Another day, another dozen. You coming to make sure you got some bodyguards gunning. Cause this is my world, my heart, my game. This is my life, my joy, my pain. This is my time, my mic, my beats. This is my rap, my hood, my streets. This is my world, my heart, my game. This is my life, my joy, my pain. This is my time, my mic, my beats. This is my rap, my hood, my street. This ain't your average everyday white cat that rap. You're dealing with the best, homie. What you think about that? I'll tell you what I think. I don't think your cats won't work. Cause I leave bitch ass motherfuckers laid in the dirt. Come to think about it, I don't feel like changing my shirt. Cause if you bloodstain my tribal, you gon' really get hurt. Then I'ma have to dump your ass up off the 70 bridge. Then let the train run you over till you found by some drunk kids. We know who you are, but it don't even matter though. For this song's sake, we just gonna call you John Doe. But yo, you claiming that you got a load of clip. So you just go ahead and keep thinking now the life ain't sick. And get your throat slit, cause my click will grip for your shit. Turn around and make a fucking album off what I flip. The incident's quick, and not a single clue will be left. I'll even use a knife to dig a hollow head out your chest. Cause this is my world, my heart, my game. This is my life, my joy, my pain. This is my time, my mic, my beats. This is my rap, my hood, my streets. This is my world, my heart, my game. This is my life, my joy, my pain. This is my time, my mic, my beats. This is my rap, my hood, my street. And it's new time that a real rhyme touched your mind. Y'all ignorant fucks, y'all really shouldn't waste your time. I'm paced to climb right over anyone in my way. I listen to you and tenfold every word that you say. But if it come to play, be production delay, I'll upgrade to a Mac and leave you flat on your back. I'm like a human rack the cats couldn't put a price on. I guess on any track and bite the mic like a python. I'm so good, lost in thought of in a sort of business plan to climb this ladder with the tools I've been taught. You just danced out, cause I ain't even playing no more. I'm kicking in your door with Payless kicks. Get on the floor, you want more? I'ma give it to you live and direct. Cause this is my mic, my world, my stage, and my set. And this ain't a threat. Y'all should really take it as a fact. Cause I'm giving all I got, and now there ain't no turning back. Cause this is my world, my heart, my game. This is my life, my joy, my pain. This is my time, my mic, my beats. This is my rap, my hood, my streets. This is my world, my heart, my game. This is my life,
my joy, my pain. This is my time, my mic, my beats. This is my rap, my hood, my street. This is my world, motherfuckers. And yo, I ain't even trying to start nothing, but really, any of y'all motherfuckers won't work? I'm right here. Cause this is my world, my heart, my feelings. This is my world, my heart, my things. This is my life, my truth, my pain. It's over, motherfuckers. This is my world, my heart, my things. This is my life, my truth, my pain.
Yo, sorry, I had to unmute the mic. Yeah, and like I was saying earlier, like if you noticed the one part in the verse where I said, I think it was on the second verse where I say, for the song's sake, we just gonna call you John Doe. That's what I was talking about earlier when I said there was a lot of songs back then that I wrote that like I didn't call people out by name, but certain shit had gone on between me and other people that rapped that like, you know, people I knew what it was about. You know what I mean? Like it was like, you know, a lot of the shit, like I said, like the difference between the older shit and the new album now is like with the older shit, you know, it was a lot more like I was answering to my hood. You know what I mean? The hood were my first critics. That was the first place these songs were going, you know, and a lot of it was catered to the streets because the streets were my main audience back then. Whereas the new album, like I said, I'm older now. I've gone through a lot more life besides the streets, you know, and gone through a lot more shit. And, you know, also with the platform I have now and everything too, it's like with the new album, it's a lot more of an inner journey into myself. And I'm trying to be a lot more global about who I'm rapping to. You know, I'm trying to talk to the world rather than back then. It was more like I was talking to my hood and like just hoping the rest of the world would like it, you know, because the landscape of hip hop has changed a lot, you know. I mean, in my opinion, like a lot of the rappers I love now, like NF, Joyner Lucas, you know, like out of the new people, like it is a lot more of a personal journey. I feel like with a lot of these rappers than where, you know, rap has become less about just the hood and more about like each individual rapper's perspective and where they're coming from and everything. So I tried to come at it that way. You know, I've never been one through the years of doing this to be stuck in my time. You know what I mean? Like if I could find copies of the old Dead Ends tape, I sound like Wu-Tang back then and Mobb Deep and shit like that, because that's what that was the time, you know what I mean? And then you listen to Urban Ivory and it's very like early 2000s Jay-Z, you know what I mean? DMX, stuff like that. Like, cause that's what I was into at the time. You know what I mean? Like, not that I'm trying to copy anybody, but I'm just saying, you know, it's what the streets was breeding in me at the time, music wise. Now with this new album, I'm a lot more just coming at it from a personal and musical perspective, basically. You know what I mean? Like I said, there's a couple hood tracks on the new album. It's part of me. It's part of who I am. And I can't just do an album without there being an element of that there. But there's a lot more. You'll see when we do the part 2 of the stream and listen to the new album. It's a way more personal journey with me emotionally, as opposed to where the older stuff was more just about Southwest Philly and what was going on where I grew up and stuff like that, you know, because I was still in that element at that time, you know. So the next song, Sell My Soul, this was actually, to contradict myself, this was a song where I did get personal on the old album. It's called Sell My Soul because it's like selling my soul for a record deal, basically. Like, this was me, just like me and my first baby's mom had gotten an apartment together. I wasn't really locked with a good job yet at the time. I was about to, unfortunately, start my hardwood floor career. I didn't know yet at the time when I wrote this song, but it was just me stressing about the bills and all that shit. And like I said, you know, towards the end of me and my first kid's mom's relationship was when the pill problem started. Like, I hurt my back and doctors put me on oxys and stuff. I hurt my back doing floors, actually, and like doctors put me on oxys and stuff, and that's what ended up leading to my dope addiction. And you know, like at the time, it was when the pills were starting out, and I even say shit about that in the song. Like I wasn't really a full blown addict yet, but you know, it was starting. They were a part of my life. Basically, I was dealing with stress with them and stuff like that. And you'll see when you listen to the song, it's just me basically talking about all the financial shit I was stressing about at the time, and how, you know, at the time I literally would have sold my soul for a real record label, for Interscope to show up and offer me a record deal the next day. And that's what the song is. I'd sell my soul for a record deal, basically. And this is also one of the 2 songs that was made. The beat was made on the $300 keyboard, like the last song. This is the other one. So just a fun fact about the song. But I'm gonna push play. So yeah, the song called "Sell My Soul."
Let me tell you something. Life ain't easy. I'm sitting here supporting a wife and 2 kids and making a hit record at the same time. And shit's really starting to weigh down on the mind, to tell you the truth. I'm starting to feel nuts. It's like I just don't give a fuck.
Lately life been having me a little on edge. It's like I wake up every day on the wrong side of the bed, and my head feels like it's gonna blow up. And what's fucked up is I don't even think that I would mind that much. It might give me some relief from these stresses in life, like having to buy diapers every time I steal wipes. It's like I got the cheese but I ain't got no bread. It's like I got the rhymes but they ain't changing my bed. They say I made it now, lie in it, cry in it, and it's making me nuts thinking that I could die in it. But I gotta keep my chin up and support these kids. I guess this is what they mean when they say working to live, and I'm dodging the bid, yo. On top of all that, constantly looking around, wondering where the Fizznos at, but they ain't taking me back. No, not this time. You ain't the stick that one where the sun don't shine.
I sit at night just thinking about this shit. Sit every night just trying to get a grip. I feel it right up in the bottom of my stomach. Oh, the stress is just starting to get me sick. I sit at night just thinking about these bills. Sit every night just wanting to take these pills. Go out at night just to feed my kids. I steal. I think I sell my soul for a record.
And it's making me crazy thinking how I might end up, and it's making me nuts thinking that this rap ain't enough. But no, Rick, don't say that. You'll make it, you'll see. But the only thing positive is EPT, another pregnancy, 2 years in a row. And no, they blow, my seeds can keep the pockets low. No dough, once again, just me and my pen, reading shut off notices from RCN. And a lot of people tell me I'm just wasting my time, like Eminem's the only white boy in the world that can rhyme. Well, guess what? I don't know how to do a fucking thing else. And it's a hard road to see myself all over these shelves, and this hell, it's gotta end. Don't wanna depend on the ring just to see free Benjamins, cause really all I know is cooking cheesesteaks and cutting grass, and the only thing prosperous I do is write rap.
I sit at night just thinking about this shit. Sit every night just trying to get a grip. I feel it right up in the bottom of my stomach. Oh, the stress is just starting to get me sick. I sit at night just thinking about these bills. Sit every night just wanting to take these pills. Go out at night just to feed my kids. I steal. I think I sell my soul for a record.
And every time I turn on MTV, all I see is mad cats that can't rap like me. And I think to myself, man, only if I was signed, I'd pay back grandma for all the studio time. Get Kelly a fat rock and a white picket fence, get the kids a dog and pay off the lifetime I rent. But then I wonder if people don't really feel like I do, and maybe they don't really feel this so life that I've been through. And if that's the case, will everybody hate me then? Will I just prove to the whole fan that I'm a failure again? And will I stand up and change the fate of this for my kids and make sure they don't have to grow up on the skids like I did? Cause I don't ever want to see my son doing it big, and I don't want my daughter coming home with some thug kid, and I don't want my seeds in the hood like I did. Shit, I don't even want them knowing where Southwest Phil is.
I sit at night just thinking about this shit. Sit every night just trying to get a grip. I feel it right up in the bottom of my stomach. Oh, the stress is just starting to get me sick. I sit at night just thinking about these bills. Sit every night just wanting to take these pills. Go out at night just to feed my kids. I steal. I think I sell my soul for a record deal. I think I sell my soul for a record deal. I think I sell my soul for a record deal.
Show me the dotted line and let me sign.
Sounded pretty good for an old obscure $300 Yamaha keyboard, don't it? Like, I maxed that thing out to its full potential, believe me. And so the next song is called New Day, and this was actually like my original, like I said back then, like I had a lot of rappers in my neighborhood that I was trying to produce, I was trying to put on, even after we did the Wu-Tang thing with the mixtape. I still had my boy Elite. I had my boy Rawcasian, my boy Kid Millennium, my boy Chaos, who's still rapping now. He's still doing his thing on his own, with making his own beats, doing his own music. I think his YouTube's like Chaos 215 or something like that, or his SoundCloud. But he's pretty good too. Still doing his own thing. I had a bunch of people. We had an Oriental kid named Buddha. That was great. Like he was always like rapping. He was from Southwest Toe, and he was always like rapping about the hood. And he's like, you know, like, I'm just a regular chink. Yo, I don't know no stores. Like talking about being an Oriental kid, like in our hood and shit. He was really good. No offense to Oriental people. I was just repeating his lyrics. You know what I mean? Oh, and same thing. I also wanted to say in the song "My World," I know I used not fuck, but the other F word, FA. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to, I am not in any way racist of gay people. It wasn't intended that way. I'm sure, you know, I have gay friends that like get it, have heard the song and get it, you know, and they have no problem with it because, you know, it's rappers address other rappers that way and stuff. It had nothing to do with like, and it was a different time when I made the song. I probably wouldn't write a song with that word in it nowadays. You know what I mean? But it was never intended at gay people in the first place. You know what I mean? It was me talking about another bitch ass rapper. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to be clear about that. But yeah, this song New Day, basically like my label was originally Row Home Records. And then when me and the dude Jester teamed up and brought our studios together and started bringing all the artists in, like we were trying to do solo albums for all these artists. And it went from being like, let's do a Wu-Tang and be a group to being like, let's start our own Rockefeller. And we were going to call it Allied Entertainment at the time. We had like symbols made up and shit like that. And that's why you'll hear on the song, we're talking about Allied Entertainment, because the whole point of this song basically was me doing a song on my album, talking about the label and the other MCs coming and how I was like the head of it and everything. Like that's basically what the point of the song is. And it's called New Day. It's one of my beats. I think the rest of the album's all my beats, basically. So let's get into it. What the fuck? Okay, there we go.
Hey yo, once upon a time, not too long ago, a young white cat was born with mad flow. And so came up on blocks with locks, crack rocks, and cops that never stopped putting heat to the block. So now I rock, kicking all these tales from the hood that could possibly be the only thing good that ever came from some of the stupid shit I did in my life. But now I can say that I grown up and matured in that light and made the shit right. I'm sitting in the studio now, writing verses to stay loud with beats like 4 pounds from home ground. Cause that's right, I'm my own engineer, along with most of the other rappers from my hood. You gon' hear, but no fear, these motherfuckers just been hungry for something. I ain't frontin', you about to see some motherfuckers that's hunting. I'm on the front line gunning, guess you call us the infantry, infiltrating all the minds of the world. But it's just like it's been a long time coming, now my foot's in the door. I spent a long time running, now I'm ready for war. You heard the first 3 beats and now you ready for more. You ready for this urban aria to bend me in store. I spent a long time rhyming just to get some airplay. I spent a long time waiting just to say what I say. I spray how I spray and make you people see it my way. This legacy will never end. It's about to be in your day. You hold up, Till I just stepped in the game. I taught all your cats before you're gonna know my name. Know why I came. Embedded in your brain. Now you think about this phony shit. You spitting real shit. Cause you about to see the realest motherfuckers since big. That you dig in the ring for a beat that'll jig or a bang. Now let me ask
right, you got your ear to the streets. Feel the heat of a Philly representative. Records be deep, adversity's weak, and sometimes I don't give a fuck. Escapes I try to keep it in, but I can't relate when people wanna hate another. Taking necessary shit is tight, so don't worry. All these rappers get scary. Shit's about to change in a hurry. Those opposed get buried up in 63rd Cemetery, and I'm so fucking infuriated that my vision is blurry. This is a very fair warning that I'm giving to y'all. Cause unless I get popular, just the first crop of fall. It's been a long time coming, now my foot's in the door. I spent a long time running, now I'm ready for war. You heard the first 3 leaked, and now you ready for more. You ready for this urban ivory? I spent a long time rhyming just to get some in play. I spent a long time waiting just to say what I say. Spray how I spray and make you people see it my way. This legacy will never end. It's about to be a new day. Now we should know about the bull that came to fit me. Got these streets like cats be acting silly. Motherfuckers stepping in my face, acting like they know such and so. Little hoe, motherfucker need to go. Cause I'm here now, and like Flip said, it's game over. With the record deal or not, I roll over for the sales, the waves, the blocks, the shit that knocks, the cars, the jeeps, the streets. I'm bringing the heat. You ready? Come on, motherfuckers, it's time. It's time. Rapping, step in this game and call it mine. It's rhyme that I molded in myself from day one. It's similar to holes inflicted from twin guns. I twin places like your heart and your pride. Now bitch up, apologize and step to the side and try not to cry, cause I'm about to kill this game. Enterprise flip shit, try it. It's been a long time coming, now my foot's in the door. I spent a long time running, now I'm ready for war. You heard the first 3 leaked, and now you're ready for more. You ready for this urban ivory and Caribbean store. I spent a long time rhyming just to get some in play. I spent a long time waiting just to say what I say. Spray how I spray and make you people see it my way. It's legacy, what I'm the end. It's how the figures up, man. Allied Entertainment, motherfuckers. Southwest Philly. Got to take this thing over right here. Yeah, we here now. Yeah, ill life just the verse, baby. We got KM on the side. Chester, Elite, Shadow, Chaos, the raw Cajun. Wake the fuck up, baby. Allied, recognize ill life, baby.
Yeah, that was actually like, for me back then, that was a pretty complex beat for me back then and shit too. It was like I was getting better in my craft at that time, right around when I made that beat and shit. What's up, Vega? What's going on, man? I was just talking about you earlier, because I was talking about when I was playing some of the unreleased tracks, I was talking about collabs, because I had played a song with a dude I collabed with back in the day, back in like early 2000s and shit. And I was just saying how like me and you haven't done a collab together yet, but we want to. But I'm just like I was saying how I don't like to force collabs, and I'm just waiting for the right inception to happen. You know what I mean? But so the next song I definitely got to preset up for everybody, because this song's called Rough Times, right? And it was pretty much like my autobiography song at the time on the album. And it's a really deep beat that I made. It's an amazing beat that I made. This is another one where I freestyled the piano pretty much. Hold on, let me see what Vega was saying. Here at work today. Yeah, hell yeah, man. Fucking right. But this piano on this beat, I did the same way as with the song Truth Hurts earlier in the stream. Like, I pretty much made the whole beat except for the piano, knew what the main piano rhythm was going to be. But then I just like closed my eyes and just Beethovened it over the whole track and played the piano live, basically. So it was an awesome beat. The problem is, at the time, I was, as I said, my first kid's mom, my 2 older kids' mom, she was a psycho. And that's why I did. Sorry if she sees this. Sorry, Kel. But, you know, it's the truth at the time when we were together. And, I wanted to have a female singer on this song. And she wouldn't let me get any other female singer because she was like one of those real crazy jealous types, you know? So at the time, she had these illusions of auditioning for American Idol and was trying to sing because I had a studio in our apartment and shit, basically. And she wanted to be the one that sang on it. So I kind of like being in this crazy relationship with her was forced to let her sing on it. And she didn't do a very good job. And I tried to fix her as much as I could with effects. But everybody that hears this song loves this song, basically. It's one of like my most popular songs. But then everybody's like, what's up with the girl singing on it? You know, because she doesn't sound that great. So when I perform this song live, I have singers now that fill in her, you know, that sing her part live on stage, that actually sing it right. I just haven't had a chance to get in the studio and redo it with one of these singers that I use live, which is what's going to happen eventually. But for now, unfortunately, the version that got mastered and finished is the version with my kid's mom on it. So just to give everybody a heads up on that. So the hooks are like her singing, basically. I mean, I wrote them, but, you know, she does the singing part anyway. So I'll come in a second here. But yeah, it's called Rough Times, featuring Kelly, my first baby's mom.
Everybody goes through messed up shit in life at one time or another. It's like sometimes you just fall into pits and you feel like it's impossible to climb back out. But you know what they say? What don't kill you makes you stronger. And sometimes you gotta look back and remember what you've done and remember what you overcome. And this is my life, this is my struggle, and I fight with my demons every night. All the fucked up shit I did, all the people I hurt, all the people who hurt me. But that's life, that's who I am, and this created me. And this is still life. Yo, I remember back at a young age, not having no mind, neglect sinking in the floor, made it hard to stay calm. And grandma, I used to cry, asking how and why. All the other kids' minds would pick them up except for mine. But back then, yo, Pop did the best that he could. And yo, life with just that and me was pretty damn good. He gave me insight, watching him work them long nights, taught me how to survive without that bitch in my life. Couldn't fuck my self-esteem up, he got me beat up. Cats would pick on me in school and wouldn't hesitate to team up. By the 7th grade, yo, that shit got played. I started smoking weed and found some Irish pride in the haze and gripped my first 40 at the age of 13, and it was like a dream. Now I'm getting drunk with my team and found angel dust at the age of 14 and realized what the fuck was the use in being clean. For my life before, for the pain I endured, I confess these things, but don't kill you, make you strong, all these scars from a life so far. I started getting older, yo, my heart got cold. Yeah, and as my heart got cold, yo, the drugs got bolder. See, by this point, I'm 15, smoking weed and dust and drinking beer like a fiend. Then in the same year, I met a couple of new friends. They all hung together. It was meth, coke, and heroin. Trying to escape, but yo, I couldn't. Cause every time I tried, I was under the influence. Destroying myself, losing my health, spending my wealth, feeling my next fix. The only thing I felt, nothingness inside. Didn't care if I died, just a fucked up kid. The childhood passed by, ain't even lie. Yo, I've been through this. And at the age of 16, I got the cuffs on the wrist. They hit me with a case, bounced me place to place, and I escaped with 4 out of 5, but left the trace. I don't know. Maybe I tried to get caught. Maybe I figured fans would miss me if I got cut off. Maybe a rehab was good for a kid that was lost, but then I still got dope on my halfway days off. On my life before, for the pain I endured, I confess these things, but don't kill you, make you strong, yeah. All these scars, all my life so far. It's still now grown up, 26 and still fucked up, but not by choice. It just seemed like the past caught up. You see, I just been trying to live like a decent citizen, but my warrants keep chasing me. I can't get rid of them. And the fam, yo, they ain't got no loot to help out except for grandma. She always the one bailing me out, seating me up inside the street my family resides. Sometimes I feel like I could die, so I still get high, but not off the dope. You see, I kick that shit. I just smoke blunts now, and sometimes I pop Percocets. And I'm struggling financially, and my PO wants to lock me up for not paying my fees. And yo, I really couldn't. Can you understand that? I'm just a poor white cat that don't wanna go back. I just wanna be free. I just wanna be clean. I just wanna make it rapping and live out my dream. All my life before. All the pain I endured. Confess these sins, God. Don't kill me, make it strong, yeah. All these scars, all my life so far. Dark nights, yeah. Motherfucking ill life.
Yeah, so as you can see what I meant about the her singing on the song and everything. And for anyone that doesn't know, I guess I probably should have got into a little bit of life story stuff before I played that song. But when I was born, like when I'm talking about with my mother in the song and everything, and if you listen to the song Substance on the new album, I also start that hook out with I came in with no mother, I done lived in the gutter, that whole thing. It's because when I was born, my mom bounced basically, like right when I was born, like when I was a newborn, and went to California, left my dad and shit, and like my dad raised me by himself. My grandma lived down the street and she helped out and stuff, and I didn't actually have like a mom until my dad got remarried when I was like 6, 7. He married my stepmom, who's my 3 brothers' mom, and she kind of like became my mom over the years. I accepted her as a mom and stuff. And then when I was like 12, I ended up meeting my real mom. Like she came back, but that's what I'm talking about all the stuff when I'm a little kid, not having no mom, and like my dad doing the best that he could and everything. That's what that was all about and shit. So the next song in the list, let's see. I think there's like 3 left on the album, and then like I said, for the next album, we'll do a part 2 of this stream like Tuesday or Wednesday night. I'll figure it out tomorrow. Oh shit! I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. Hold on. Fuck. Now I gotta. Okay, so the next song is The One, which is just like a hype. Spit. It's a hype. It's like a battle type of track. Just me hyping up what I am as an MC and all that stuff. You know, it's me being the one. You know what I mean? So it doesn't need too much pre-explanation. I gotta skip. Here we go. Another ill beat.
Yeah. Ill life. About to give you a little school session real quick, motherfuckers. 1, 2. Yeah, you might think I spit 2 strands. Yeah, but you don't know my name. Yeah, till it's enough. Yeah. Hey yo, this realness inside, I can't hide, gotta let it out. Gotta let them know there's more to this game than being iced out. Too many just do what the last one did. Not the hate, but I make music, not commercials, kid. I'm gonna live on and inspire the next man. And maybe break the cycle with these pop rap bands. Come on, man. Yo, what the fuck's been hitting these streets? Whatever happened to Rakim, Nas, Biggie, and my beat? In my streets, that's pretty much what fucks came up on. So if you're missing, it's probably the type of shit I'ma be on. And be strong enough to fill the shoes of a great one. Escape, son, and make ones, filling up systems. The great son, born from the city of brotherly and shine. See, this crime seed couldn't even smother me or any other dark cloud blocking this day. Torch in my right hand is gonna light my way. You might think I spit 2 strands, but you gonna know my name. I'm gonna take this game, flip it over backwards and rearrange. And then you gonna see this young gun. Southwest Philly's where I'm from. I smoke trees by the ton and see like a gun, so you see I'm the one. I took the time to sit down and think this through. And the last person I wanna be on TV is most of you now. I'm not talking about all of you cats, cause some of you cats still don't know how to speak in your raps. And some of you cats still know how to speak with some facts. But some of you cats is geeks that never seen no gat. I might not be black, come on, it's time to let go. There's millions of white boys that rap growing up in ghettos. 6 through 7, no, feel my streets. Southwest Philly, son, who want beat? I'm going creep up and put this name on the map. IL motherfuckers, get your brain on track. Sit down, think real hard and try to write some raps. Come hard with it, Jack. I anticipate that, and I anticipate facts, cause that's what I speak, son. I'm like Jet Li, it's an MC on the G1. You might think I spit 2 strands, but you gonna know my name. I'm gonna take this game, flip it over backwards and rearrange. And then you gonna see this young gun. Southwest Philly's where I'm from. I smoke trees by the ton, MC like a gun, so you see I'm the one. I'm about to hit the block with this urban ivory. You wanna see this white skin, you wanna know who I be, cause I be this motherfucker that's gonna stand tall. Be proud of who I am, it doesn't mean I hate y'all. Cause hate y'all can be the thing that makes a grown man for a grown man with pride. It's the ones that gonna stand tall, thoroughbred regardless of your color or creed. Maybe a little fucking integrity is what this world need, but I lead from the greed and ignorance in this industry, cause it just make me believe that I will make it definitely. Definitely be making street bangs for y'all, cause that's my call. I rap like I play ball, and you gon' fall if you try to stand in my way, cause I don't play. I will kill you, leave you where you lay, cause it's my day, and I got my foot in the door. It's IL motherfuckers, holler back if you want war. You might think I spit 2 strands, but you gonna know my name. I'm gonna take this game, flip it over backwards and rearrange. And then you gonna see this young gun. Southwest Philly's where I'm from. I smoke trees by the ton, MC like a gun, so you see I'm the one. 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 So holla back if you want more.
You know, it's funny that listening, going back and listening to that song, like if you listen to the lyrics of that song, what that song was really about, where I was coming from with it, was like at the time, like you got to understand in hip hop, right? I lived and rapped through the gritty, sample based beat making days of like I said, like Nas and Wu and Mobb Deep, and even before that, like Leaders in the New School. Like when I first started writing, it was before the Wu Tang, Nas, Mobb Deep era. It was like the Leaders in the New School, Lords of the Underground, Tribe, like Onyx in their early days, shit like that. You know what I mean? And that's when I first started writing. When I started recording was more around like the Nas Wu Tang time. But then like when everything started switching to like when Timberland and Swiss Beats and like everything kind of started switching over to the digital beats, and like the Korg Triton and the MPC got huge in the beat industry, and like Jay-Z and DMX and like Rough Riders, Rockefeller, like all that stuff was starting to come out. And then like Cash Money and the whole South movement was starting to happen. It took me a while to, yes, yeah, Vega, exactly. Legends, yeah. But it took, you know, because I came from that old school era, it took a while for me to adapt to that newer shit at the time. And some like I said, like some of it I loved, like Jay-Z I always loved, and like certain one. But in that time there was a lot of one-hit wonders coming out that were just trying to sound like everything, like the real ones, you know. And it took me a while to embrace it. And you know, now I go back in hindsight, some of that stuff's like the most classic hip hop in history, and I love it now. But at the time when it was coming out, I was kind of like, this isn't as rugged as what you know what I mean? Like I didn't get it at first. It took a while for it to sink in. And that song was talking about a lot of that at the time, like where I felt like people were like hip hop was being too commercialized, you know, like back in the Wu-Tang Nas days, hip hop was like metal. You know what I mean? Like the music industry didn't respect it. It was an underground thing to be a part of. It was, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like now where it's like, I'm gonna be a rapper and have all kinds of ice. You know what I mean? Back then, rap hip hop was the streets. It was rugged. It was, you know what I mean? And like the beginning of Jay-Z and all that stuff and the glamorizing of it and everything was like, I didn't see the street in it until a little after the fact. You know what I mean? And that song was kind of like gunning at some of those artists that were out at the time, you know what I mean? Like that were just making everything like glorifying shit, basically, like making everything about money and girls. And, you know, it just annoyed me. And that's kind of who that song was coming at and shit. But the next song is, let me see here. I think we got two left here. So the next one is Suicide Blues, which is, as I was telling you guys earlier, anybody that was here in the stream, the song Lonely People that I played earlier with the Beatles sample and the crazy drill beat that the London guy made. This was the original version that I made the beat, and it was called Suicide Blues. And you'll see it's the same verses, but rapped in an entirely different pace. Like when I did Lonely People, I rewrote the entire way that the rhyme scheme went to fit that drill beat. But this is just like a more straight up East Coast down pattern, and I rap it in a normal East Coast type of flow. So if you get, you know, after the stream, if you get a chance to go back and compare the two, because all those unreleased tracks I played in the beginning, unfortunately for now, this stream's going to be the only play. Going back and watching this video is going to be the only way you can hear them. Like they're, as I don't know if you noticed, but in the playlist it said private, because like I said, I can't release any of them at the moment until I get a hold of the other producers or whatever, you know what I mean? So yeah, this was the same deal. It was 3 fictional stories that I made up that were based on a bunch of factual people I knew in life mixed into these characters, basically. You know, I took different elements of shit that I seen, different shit that happened to different people growing up, and kind of like merged them into these 3 fictional characters and made it these 3 stories about these 3 people that end up dying, committing suicide because of fucked up shit going on in their life. And that's why when the London guy, I already had this song Suicide Blues recorded and done. And at the time when the London guy came at me with that beat, with the Eleanor Rigby, the Beatles sample one. That's why I totally rewrote it and made it into that song, Lonely People, because before on this album, that was the original version when I was in touch with the producer. But then when I went to release it digitally recently for the first time, and I couldn't find him or get a hold of him or anything, I didn't have a choice but to use the old version and mix it and put that version on the album, which is this, Suicide Blues. So just for a little background, this is my beat too.
Sometimes a lot of fucked up shit happens in this world. Happens to me, happens to you, happens to all my peoples. And sometimes it's like you just don't know what the fuck to do. Shit just closes in all at once and you just want to snap, cock something back and let the fuck loose, you know what I mean? Sometimes there's nowhere to turn. Sometimes there's no way to act. Sometimes you just want to grab a cat. Was a kid named John, he started off popping E-bombs, lost mom, and now he's hooked on rhyme. Living that IL life, strife life, thinking of ways to support his habit, robbing cribs in the late night, take flight. He sees the only way out, the barrel of a pistol shoved into his mouth. And don't nobody ever really even know what he about. And don't nobody ever really even know that he shout. Punching the wall, waiting for just one call. Realizing that nobody really cares at all. Shot 2 bags while he slipped the 8 ball. Veins collapsing, heart rate starting to fall. Cocked the 9 back, finished off the Newport pack. Pulled the trigger, and now he's hearing his skull crack on his back. Looking up at the wall, mirror reflecting visions of his life's downfall. What to do when it seems like nobody wants you? What to do when it seems like there's nothing you can do? What to do when the shit comes crashing down on you? What to do when you got suicide blues? What to do when it seems like nobody wants you? What to do when it seems like there's nothing you can do? What to do when the shit comes crashing down on you? What to do when you got suicide? Now let's talk about Tracy. She had the good life, she had it all. On the way to college, sitting in sync on the wall. She was the regular type, a good girl, you guys know. Type of chicken you ain't even gotta sweat when she go. But then one day, Tracy had to fall in love. The problem was she fell in love with a Southwest thug who really didn't give a shit about Tracy's life. Talked her into thinking going to college wasn't right, but that's how shit goes. And now 6 months later, she's on the corner with the rest of the hoes. Fucked her life up. And now she's knocked up by a cat who's locked up for beating her the fuck up. Now mom's throws her out because moms can't afford to have another little kid run around the house. 2 weeks later, I seen this girl in the news with both wrists slit. She got the suicide blues. What to do when it seems like nobody wants you? What to do when it seems like there's nothing you can do? What to do when the shit comes crashing down on you? What to do when you got the suicide blues? What to do when it seems like nobody wants you? What to do when it seems like there's nothing you can do? What to do when the shit comes crashing down on you? What to do when you got suicide blues? Now Frankie was a good guy, had a wife and 2 kids and a nice house up in Lehigh. Wore a suit and a tie to his job downtown, about to get a raise. He had that shit locked down, but who could've knew that Frank wasn't a regular cat? He had a little white $20 issue since way back. He worked more so he could make more money, so he could do more coke. At the end of the short road, working overtime. At least that's what his wife thought when he was out at night doing them lines. Then he fucked up and left a bag of uncut for his 12-year-old son to find and sniff it the fuck up. Overdose, that's what the report said. And now Frank's responsible for his own son's death. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. That night Frank had a head-on collision with a Sepia bus. What to do when it seems like nobody wants you? What to do when it seems like there's nothing you can do? What to do when the shit comes crashing down on you? What to do when you got suicide blues? What to do when it seems like nobody wants you? What to do when it seems like there's nothing you can do? What to do when the shit comes crashing down on you? What to do when you got suicide blues? I got the suicide blues. Got the suicide blues. Got the suicide blues. What to do when you got the suicide blues? Don't let this life win. Don't let it beat you. Take what's yours and knock that motherfucker out.
Yeah, that was hold on a sec. I seen a comment I wanted to answer while the song was playing. But yeah, you can go back. Like I said, the unreleased tracks, it was like the first 6 songs I played in the beginning of this stream. None of them are available. All these songs that are on the album, they're on my YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, everything, Tidal, Deezer, like whatever. They're on everything. But those unreleased tracks in the beginning aren't. So like if you wanted to compare the two, Suicide Blues and Lonely People, you could just listen to Suicide Blues on the album playlist itself on my YouTube page, and then just go back and watch the beginning of the stream and listen to Lonely People, and you can compare them. But Dr. Fate, do you remember Tupac getting shot in 1993? I remember it very well. I remember him getting shot. I remember Biggie getting shot. I mean, I was in high school at the time. I think I was like a sophomore in 93 or something like that. I was about to head into juvie and spend the rest of high school in juvie. Basically, I ended up graduating from like a lockup called Abraxas. I got my diploma. But yeah, I remember it well. I was very, even as a rapper at the time back then, I was very injected into the East Coast, West Coast thing. You know what I mean? Like in Philly, we were very, you know, we were on the East Coast side with New York and everything. You know what I mean? And like, it was a big thing back then, you know. I mean, honestly, I don't know how much I believe that they had anything to do with killing each other. I think it was more their labels, like knowing that they were going to make more money off them dead. I don't know. I don't trust any of that shit, but it's just my opinion. I'm just saying. Because I mean, they were all street dudes. They were all getting money, you know. I mean, while yeah, like everybody was battling on wax and all that shit, like. I don't think any of them would have really tried, like, intended to take each other's life or anything. You know what I mean? I think they were all trying to eat. And a lot of it was just blown out of proportion by the general public. And I think that some greedy motherfuckers at the top somewhere that, you know, had the power to have them off knew that, like, they could make legends out of them and basically get rich off them for the forever, like, as ghosts. You know what I mean? But again, there's no fact behind that. That's just my opinion. I'm just saying. But yeah, I remember it very well. It was a sad time. Okay, so the last song is a second. Is Inner City Pride. Inner City Pride. INNA. Inner City Pride. I spelled it hood. But this is the song on the actual album that features my boy Rated R. Rest in peace, brother. I love you. You know, as I was telling all y'all earlier when I played his one solo song and the other song with the Bon Jovi sample that he's on with me, you know, this was my brother in the music game, man. This was like, he was going to be my next up. You know, we were about to start working on his album and now he's dead. And it fucking sucks. And I love the dude like a brother. And I mean, he did all my shows with me, everything, you know. So this was the song, you know, we had to cut the Bon Jovi one because of the sample, the song Run Along, because of the Bon Jovi Runaway sample. I had to cut it because I couldn't afford the sample rights to it by any means. So this was the one that was just one of my original beats that we did together. And it's called Inner City Pride. And it's basically just us talking shit about, you know, being from the hood and being proud of it and why we love the hood and all that kind of shit. You know what I mean? It's like a hype track. You know what I mean? So let's get into it.
Okay, let's get it, man. Y'all know what it is. 06 to this bitch. Rated R, ill life. Bro home records in motherfucking service. Y'all know what it is. Yeah. Okay. Dog, I'ma murder this. Homes, you never heard of this. Every beat and break, I give my word on this. My birth on it. Every bump, I hurdled it. Every snake deserted it. Truth and real facts, dog. Just how I'm worded it. Won't let it burn and shit. Good luck like Birdie shit. Young buck like Bert and Ernie shit. Man, I've been burning shit. Learning shit. Earning shit. Flipping and I'm turning it. Like everything in my circle, I'm always gonna be concerned with it. I'll leave you assed out. Holding your glass out. Ready to pass out like y'all was at the lamp house. Bottom of the ninth blast out with full count. When it comes to crunch time, maybe you'll amount. Look, trash to me, nothing but trash I see. Look, your flow is so trash, you must got a trash degree. Now who is after me? I don't care, but as for me, no man's passed my class, but that's as for me.
Yo, it's a minute, city ride right here, right here. There's some cats that's gonna ride right here, right here. It's the 215 right here, right here. This is Southwest Philly, motherfucker, feel fear. It's a minute, city ride right here, right here. Just remember when my rules on the block right here. 706 dudes, keep it cocked right here. Shot right here, Southwest.
Yo, what's that white cat coming at you straight out of Philly? Y'all need to fall back, relax. You're coming through Philly, cause I know man cats who attack in the middle of Philly, and I know white cats distract the legend of really. Now what's good, son? When you hear that cracking and cracking the wrong hood, son. Now your chest is cracking, it's flat, and these out of town motherfuckers, they don't know what'll happen. The type to get hemmed up, you buddy with cabin, and they be like, yo, dude, get me some coke, and they be leaving the hood with no coke and dead broken. We be on the block, using their money to get low. Touches of Phillies, twisted with middies and hot trolls. That's how it go every day in the hood. For the grill, get your pay, cause you might not live to see another day. Shit, man, let's get it started. Summer breeze, 40s and weed, look out, we retarded.
Yo, it's a minute, city ride right here, right here. There's some cats that's gonna ride right here, right here. It's the 215 right here, right here. This is Southwest Philly, motherfucker, feel fear. It's a minute, city ride right here, right here. Just remember when my rules on the block right here. 706 dudes, keep it locked right here. Shot right here, Southwest right here.
Fuck what y'all heard, dog. It's all about me. It's all about Rob. I don't give a fuck about a thing. It's all on me now. Young Brown, the rebound. No pulling my teeth out just to get into details. Solution, cool. Get loose and just move. I don't give a fuck, dog. Just do what you do. So back the fuck up. I ain't even playing, yo. I'm just saying, yo. Your best bet would be staying low.
Raised in the center city, blazed in the center city, caged in the center city, born and bred in South Philly. 640s feet walking out, hit the streets, hit the block, smoke the dust and walk back up the 40 spot. This ain't will never stop, my heart will never die. I'll never tell a lie, cause in the hood my heart resides. This in the city cry, so what the fuck you want? I'm proud to be from where I can sit out front and smoke a blunt.
Yo, it's a minute, city ride right here, right here. There's some cats that's gonna ride right here, right here. It's the 215 right here, right here. This is Southwest Philly, motherfucker, feel fear. It's a minute, city ride right here, right here. Just remember when my rules on the block right here. 706 dudes, keep it locked right here. Shot right here, Southwest right here.
Right. Right here, so another one. I know what it is. Southwest, man, we killing them. Still life, rated on holler. Woo! Whoa, got to get it, man. Your boy is. Your boy Rob. Yeah. Get it.
But yeah, that was he was the first verse, I was the second verse, and then that third verse we go back and forth, which is what we did on a lot of our tracks. Like if you heard Run Along earlier, the Bon Jovi John, it was the same deal. I think I went first, he went second, and we bounced back and forth in the third verse like every 4 bars or something. But yeah, definitely, if you didn't see the beginning of the stream, definitely go back and watch, because I played like 6 unreleased tracks off of this album that were cut because of samples and shit like that. And I also played, like I said, my homie that was just on that track that's dead now. We had done one solo song for his album that I don't want to play it again because it got me welled up earlier listening to it and shit. But it's a real deep song. Like it's all about like his life and growing up with his parents, being addicted and stuff like that. And it is called Few Things, like talking about few things he didn't have as a kid and shit like that. And it's a beat that I made with this like guitar part that's like really, it's just emotional. It's like I said, I was saying earlier, it's one of them situations where it's crazy that that was the only song we got to get in the lab and make before he died. And it just happens to be this like emotional, hard hitting, like pull on your heartstrings type of song that like I said, like when I was listening to it earlier, I haven't listened to it in a while, and I put it on to play it for everybody. And, you know, I shed a tear listening to it when I had the song on. Like, it was tough. Because he was an amazing MC, and then I planned for him to be part of Rack Stack Music for real, and like now he's gone, and it sucks. You know, he always used to do shows with me. It was always my stage man on my shows, and he'd open for me. I'd back him up. Like we were partners in crime with the music thing. You know, as two individual solo artists too. It was crazy. It's just crazy that he's dead, man. I've lost way too many friends to drugs and violence and shit like that. It sucks, you know, and that's what a lot of my music's about. That's what the name's about. That's why, you know, that's why my name is Ill Life, but it's the word Philly, the letters changed around to spell it, because it's like I went through and seen a bunch of ill shit in my life, and it all happened in the city of Philadelphia. So I took the two ideas and merged them into a name, you know what I mean? So but yeah, we're getting close to the 3-hour mark now. So like I said, I think there's a couple other unreleased tracks that I didn't do tonight that I didn't have time to get pressed into the private playlist to use. So I think I'll probably take tomorrow off, only because I know it's going to be my first day back at day work tomorrow, and I'm not going to get much sleep tonight. So I got to be up in a few hours. So I know I'm not going to be ready to do no live stream tomorrow night. And I've been working in my studio on mixdown shit all day today before I did this stream too, which is why I ended up starting an hour late. So I'm thinking probably Tuesday night, just as long, I just want to make sure none of my boys are streaming at the same time first, but either Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll do a part 2 to this stream and listen to the unreleased tracks that I didn't get to tonight. And then we'll go through the new album. Thank you, Mask of Shy. I didn't see these new comments up here. Sorry, guys. Yes, Tupac was the GOAT. I like Biggie better, but Tupac was good too. I just see, if you were somebody that lived through Tupac, like, the thing is with Tupac is that, like, at the end, like, Tupac kind of like perpetrated a little bit. Like, if you were someone that was alive back then and into hip hop at the time, like his first album when he was in Baltimore and he came out of Digital Underground and he did Tupacalypse Now, like with Brenda's Got a Baby and all that shit. Like me and all my friends loved that shit. But then when he signed with Death Row and started doing all the West Coast shit, like the East-West thing was going on back then, and we were like on the East Coast side, on Biggie's side and shit of the whole thing. But we still listened to Pac shit, you know what I mean? Because he did have, like, Hit 'Em Up was fucking, that was like, the DJ put that on in any house party back in the day and everybody went crazy. Like, that shit was off the wall. Like, but it was just like the shit he was doing in like everybody just didn't get why, like, he had to all of a sudden like claim LA and all that shit when he wasn't from there, like, I don't know, that kind of like made me, that's why I put Biggie ahead of him, basically, you know what I mean? And honestly, I put T.I. above both of them, to tell you the truth. Like, I think T.I. is the GOAT for real. Like, and he's not dead, you know what I mean? Like, if he would have died, he'd be looked at that way too. But to me, T.I. is the greatest rapper that's ever lived. I mean, and I'm not talking about the radio and the MTV songs. I'm talking about like his real, like, if you actually listen to T.I.'s albums are hood as fuck with a couple of radio bangers, club songs for the girls. You know what I mean? But most of his shit, if you listen to the album songs, he's hood as fuck. He's real as shit, and his cadence and delivery is unmatched. Like, nobody can, the way he throws that Atlanta twang to it and the little singy parts he does, it's like nobody can just flip a verse the way T.I. can. He is insane, in my opinion. I mean, there's better spitters than him. I could, off the top of my head, like Joyner Lucas and F out of the New Camp. They're both unbelievable spitters, lyrically, lyricists, you know what I mean? But just on an all around, I think T.I. is the greatest of all time, in my opinion. But it's just my opinion, you know what I mean? But yeah, so like I was saying, so the new album and a few more surprise unreleased tracks we'll go through either Tuesday or Wednesday night or something. And yes, I agree, Dr. Fate. Like Drake is absolute trash. Now there is a lot of new shit I like though. Like even shit that's not hood. Like I'm a huge Lil Peep fan. I think Lil Peep's a fucking legend that died too soon, and I really think what he was doing and starting could have changed the, you know, it was basically I like that kind of shit too, like Lil Peep and all that, like the emo rap shit, because it's like it's its own thing. It's like it's original, and a lot of new rappers now, even NF. I mean, NF's like really from Detroit. He lived in Detroit his whole life, and his shit it is hood. But even him, he still gets very personal and deep with shit. Like the hip hop has evolved. It's changed. And sometimes I think we can't be, we have to open our mind to it, you know, but there is a lot of garbage now too. Like Drake, like Lil Pump's garbage. There's a lot of popular shit that's garbage. Don't get me wrong, but there's also a lot of great shit that's the result of the evolution of hip hop up until this point. And to answer your question, Mask is Shy. Oh, thanks, Taryn. Do I like Kanye? Not really. There's a couple select songs I love. Like I really love the what's that one? You know, you've been putting up with my shit just way too long. Like I love that John. But for the most part, I don't really like him. But I have personal reasons not to like him, because for anybody that knows the history with Rockefeller and everything, like we here in Philly, we used to call Jay-Z the adopted son, because he put Beanie, Freeway, Young Guns, like the entire state property, like he signed them as a label, and you know he put Philly on the map basically for us, you know what I mean, and made Philly rap a thing, gave it a home with Rockefeller. Then he signed Kanye, and Kanye came into the picture, and basically, like from what I've heard behind the scenes, what was going on was like the state prop dudes kind of were like, you know, like Kanye isn't really hood. Like Kanye, like his parents were like senators and shit in Chicago, you know, like I think he came from a better upbringing and stuff than the Philly dudes that were hood, you know, like the state property dudes. And like I think there was a vibe going on that like they were kind of bidding on him in the studio and shit like that, and like he kind of felt like bitched up by them or some shit like that, you know what I mean? And I think it came down to like he basically, like Kanye went to Jay-Z and gave him like a them or me ultimatum, and that was when Rockefeller dropped all estate property basically. And like now most of those rappers are like back in their old neighborhoods and shit, you know what I mean? And like lost everything. Like it sucks, you know what I mean? Like, and that's a lot of the reason I don't like Kanye. And I just think he sometimes he raps about some off the wall shit, but some of his shit, when he hits, he's hit or miss for me. When he hits, he really hits, but when he misses, he really misses. And for me, I'd say it's like a 70-30 ratio, like 30% I like and 70% I don't, you know what I mean? So is what it is, you know what I mean? But yeah, so thank you guys all for coming, and Taryn, thank you. I did see your comment. I know I rushed through it, but thank you, Taryn. I appreciate it, man. I figured it was going to be late, and a lot of people, I'm glad for you guys that made it in here that did come, but I figured this was going to be the kind of thing where a lot of people were going to watch it after the fact. When I do part 2 on Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever, I'll try to do it a little earlier so that maybe we can get a bigger live audience in here for the show. But yeah, thank you guys for coming, and I love all you guys, and hopefully it all sounded good on your guy. I hope I don't go back and watch this and realize that everything's fucked up and the sound sucked. I hope it sounded good for you guys and shit. So but yeah, so thank you all for coming. Have a good beginning of your week tomorrow morning, and I will see you guys. Like I said, I'll let everybody know tomorrow on Twitter. I'll put a post out, but either Tuesday night or Wednesday night we'll do part 2 of this stream and go through the other album, the new album. All right, thank you guys. I love all you motherfuckers. Peace out. Inspired us man so much. Growing in the weekend, past that day we had that hashtag up. Release the SNYDER Club, and we would not give up till we got to see the vision Warner Brothers promised us, and then we trended up.
despite all the naysay, and made them notice that we were never gonna go away. Kept fighting every day, and I guess that was the key, cause now we're really gonna see Zack Snyder's Justice League. Release the Snyder Cut, release the Snyder Cut. It was the Justice League, and you douchebags fucked it up. Release the Snyder Cut, release the Snyder Cut. Why did you chop it up and make it fucking suck? Now we're getting Zack JL, now we're getting Zack JL, and all